After Colbert got canceled, it was announced that CBS Paramount was going to be giving $1.5 billion to the creators of South Park, which kind of seemed insane to anybody who knows anything about numbers. $300 million a year. Well, they put out their first episode, and it is mocking Donald Trump. I'm going to give you my opinion right away. I know a lot of people thought the episode was funny. That's fine. The jokes were old, 10 years old. They don't make fun of Trump. They don't make fun of administration. They don't make fun of politics. They literally just have Trump be Saddam Hussein, and then they say he has a tiny wiener. That's the whole episode, except for the fact that they show it for real. Just they show it for like 30 seconds. That's what they're going for. But in all seriousness, I think the strategy now of the anti-Trump left, the liberals, is going to be they got to go dirtbag left. Woke was broke. It didn't work. But if you can be dirtbag offensive while being anti-Trump, that's the edgy that they're looking for. So they give the South Park creators $1.5 billion, which seems to be the big story to talk about the current strategy of the anti-Trump media. But there is actual big news. Birthright citizenship, Trump's executive order, was struck down by an appellate court. Abrego Garcia has been ordered released. Wow. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, we got a lot more. Before we get started, my friends, we got a great sponsor. It is MyPillow. Guys, go to mypillow.com/Tim. Use promo code Tim and buy pillows. They got the best. They got the Giza Dream bed sheets, $49.98. You need sheets? Never does. These My Slippers are actually really, really awesome. I've got a pair myself. It is like walking on a cloud. I know they really are amazing. But I got to tell you about this stuff right here. No joke. We've had this for a while, this Rev 7. I'm a huge fan. It's got no sugar. It's got no caffeine. They sell them on mypillow.com. They got Rev 7 energy drinks. You got green apple, lemonade, and then you've got blueberry citrus. And it's a keto energy drink with a nootropic called Cognizant in it. And it's my favorite. It legit works. I mean, I love it. So shout out to Mike Lindell and MyPillow for supporting the show. Guys, make sure you go to mypillow.com/Tim. And also don't forget, go to castbrew.com and buy coffee. We got 1776 Signature Brew. We got the birthday blend, of course, Appalachian Nights. Also, don't forget, we're going to see you guys this Saturday, right? DC Comedy Loft. Don't let them cancel us. We're doing this show. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. We got a great show. We are joined today by James Fishback.
Great to be here, Tim.
Who are you? What do you do?
I started an investment firm. It's an anti-DEI investment firm called Azoria, and we started an ETF that we launched 2 weeks ago that invests only in S&P 500 companies that hire on merit. Crazy idea.
Oh, wow. There was talk about this like a decade ago. Companies that were introducing DEI policies,
Yeah.
I heard investors saying short those companies right away because any company that's going to prioritize ideology over the function of their business will lose money.
That's exactly right. And so think of it this way, Tim, is if you knew a friend was going to start a coffee shop and you knew they were going to only hire a certain race or a certain gender, you would bet, right, Phil? You'd bet against that coffee shop. Oh, well, I walk into the coffee shop and you're about to hand them a check to buy a part of their business. And they say, well, we don't hire everyone here. We only hire black lesbians. We only hire transgender dwarfs. What would that do to the business model? You wouldn't just not want to be long that business so as to profit from it. You would actually want to go short and profit from its decline. And so what the Azoria Meritocracy Fund does, the ticker is SPXM. It's an ETF that buys the same 500 stocks as your S&P 500 ETF, but it does not buy Intel, Starbucks, Airbnb, Nike, and others that have just doubled down on these DEI quotas that say, look, we're not hiring on skill and merit anymore. We're hiring on race and gender. That hurts stock performance, and our investors don't want no part of it.
Right on. It should be fun. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk about this, of course, the South Park stuff. Mary is here.
Hi, everyone. You can usually find me on Pop Culture Crisis here at Timcast. I'm glad to be here, and I would definitely support a coffee shop staffed just by white straight males.
And 6 feet tall, 6 figures, and six pack.
No, that's not necessary.
I gotta have
Not at all?
Yeah.
Is there a dress code
Just
at
have
all?
to be
or-
straight. I don't really accept the word cis. That's not a real thing. But they could be straight white males.
What if they use the word cis?
That would be a deal breaker.
Okay, there you go.
You actually,
All right,
you'd,
Phil's
have to
hanging
get,
out.
you'd have to get like 2 weeks unpaid leave. You're off for 2 weeks if you use things like this. Hi, hello everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Hold on a second.
James, I'm going to actually. So you said the SPXM is the one that shorts, or is that the one that you started?
I started that one, and what it does is it excludes. So it excludes them because they're going to underperform. The research we did, Phil, is the 38 companies in the S&P 500 that have these woke DEI policies, Nike, Airbnb, Starbucks, they've underperformed the stock market by 20 points over the last 2 years. And so what that means is your S&P portfolio, your S&P ETF, whether it's from BlackRock, Vanguard, or State Street, it could have been doing a lot better had those 38 not been in there. And so our goal at Azoria with SPXM is kick them out and let your portfolio ride just based on the companies that hire the best and brightest and never apologize for it. If you hire a white male for the job or an Asian male, don't apologize for it. Just do the right thing. And by the way, the right thing oftentimes will be to hire someone who looks a little bit darker than us. That's a meritocratic system. It's to stand up for the dignity of every American. My mom's a legal immigrant from South America, and one thing that she always told my sister and I is that she would never apply to a job that had a big, flashy affirmative action program, Mary, because when she came home, she wanted to look us in the eyes saying, I got the job for the right reason, not because I checked some arbitrary Cornell liberals checkbox for diversity arbitrariness.
Let's jump into that story from Variety. White House bashes South Park after Trump parody. This show hasn't been relevant for over 20 years and can't derail Trump's hot streak. Okay, look. This was a clever play. I literally don't care. It's pretty obvious that the idea was we're going to make fun of Trump and put the anti-woke crowd and the edgy influencers and the podcast circuit in a bind. You're allowed to make fun of Donald Trump. They're going to do it poorly, and you have no choice but to just accept it because it's just playful banter, right? So I already had a lot of people telling me, oh, Tim, but come on, if you come out and say it was bad, you know what the left is going to say? They're going to say, ha, ha, ha. I'm like, I don't care what they say. Yeah. They're psychotic. This episode was garbage. I watched the episode. It's one of the worst episodes of South Park, not the worst. Remember when, I don't know how familiar you guys are with South Park, Scott Tenorman ate his parents?
Yeah.
Ate his parents. Cartman tricked his parents into being killed by a farmer, chopped their bodies up, and fed them to their own son. South Park was crazy. Now they did an episode where it's literally Donald Trump, and because they had Mr. Garrison as Trump, and there's no jokes. Now, to be fair, there are jokes, but they're not about Trump. It's just they show naked cartoon Trump, and everyone keeps saying he has a tiny penis. And then he goes, come on, I'm going to sue you, gang. Yeah, it's the same joke they made about Saddam.
Yeah.
They don't make any jokes about the administration, about Trump's policies. It's jokes from 15 years ago. Here's my bet. Colbert gets canceled because they were spending $40-50 million a year on anti-Trump commentary. But this straight-laced goody two-shoes BS does not work. They've been talking about how they need a liberal Joe Rogan forever. I'm willing to bet that these prominent liberal billionaires and corporate types were like, listen, why do people like Joe? Because he's edgy. He's off the cuff. He'll say things you're not allowed to say. How do we do this? Well, Colbert ain't it. Colbert is straight-laced and boring. It's on the nose. The South Park guys, $300 million per year they got in this deal.
Wow.
How does something like that happen? Here's my vision. They go to Matt and Trey and they say, we want you to go full-time South Park, mock Donald Trump, make him look bad. And they went, why? And they were like, we will pay you a lot of money. What's a lot of money? We will give you $30 million a year. We don't need $30 million a year. $50 million a year. Guys, we're rich. We don't need $50 million a year. Okay. $100 million a year. And they're like, honestly, what am I going to do with that? How about we give you $1.5 billion over 5 years? And then Matt and Trey were like, really? I imagine they were like, what do you want to do it? We want shock content that mocks Trump. I don't know, give me $1 billion. Done. And they gave him $1 billion. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if that's actually what happened, but it seems pretty obvious. The only problem is they're phoning it in. Yeah. Here's my pitch. I would have laughed my ass off if the episode started with Trump being asked about the Epstein files, panicking and shuffling all the press out of the room and banning them, saying, you're banned, I'm going to sue you. And then runs to a bookshelf, pulls a book, the shelf opens up, he gets in an elevator, goes down to the basement, and there's Tulsi Gabbard, Rubio, and Trump trying to resurrect Mecca Epstein because they want to use the files and use the blackmail or something like that. Instead, Trump's banging Satan. That's it. There's no jokes about anything that's happening.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I feel like Trump is doing enough to make a fool out of himself lately that Matt and Trey don't need to do any work on that front. And for 10 episodes a year at that, they scammed the shit out of it. What was it, Paramount?
Is that what it is? 10 episodes?
10 episodes a year.
I would take
30
that check.
That is crazy.
I would take that check. I mean, I
Wild.
I didn't watch the episode, or I haven't watched the episode yet. The fact that it's just like redoing the Saddam bit is kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, because they are generally like South Park has been really funny and really creative, and so like
It's kind of like how bands sell out.
I mean, maybe
They just lose that creative touch that they used to have for no explicable.
I mean, these guys have been doing it for now, what, 25 years or something?
Yeah.
You burn out.
Since 97.
90. So, I mean, all
330 episodes in the show. Last time I watched it, I was in middle school.
$30 million
right?
an episode.
Think about that. $30 million an episode, Tim. And that's all they could pull together. The real way to think about a joke is if you can take that joke about Trump's penis or this, that, and the other, and you can swap out Trump with any other person you want to mock,
Yeah.
and it even remotely makes sense, it can't be funny.
They did a great
that sketch
job.
that he just brought up, that's a perfect sketch because it only would apply to Trump. You couldn't put anybody else in that sketch and it'd still be funny.
It's what they used to do.
Right, so they used to do.
They've had their moments in the past few years. They did a really good job making fun of Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm.
Yep.
And it was kind of nice to see that they were willing to punch at both sides.
But this is, you're making a good point based on what you were saying, James, is that the joke only applied to Kathleen Kennedy.
Correct.
Cartman is sitting in a room and they're like, we want to do a movie about dogs. Make it gay, make it a chick and make it gay.
Right.
And it's like, that's what she was doing. That's what
she was doing.
Having Trump just shake around a tiny wiener and try to bang Satan, it was literally just Saddam Hussein.
I think I was accused of that in 7th grade of having a tiny wiener and trying to bang Satan too, right? It wasn't funny then to me because it was so tired.
Great.
What the?
But no, but I mean, like, that is the insult that gets tossed around, right?
Yep.
Your mom is so fat, that kind of thing. It can't be funny because it's so cliched.
So I actually think they're trying to bait Trump into criminal charges because they've published to YouTube and in the episode AI video of Trump total nudity,
Correct.
like full frontal, and he's looking down at his tiny wiener, and then the penis talks, and that's a violation of what is it called, the Take It Down Act?
Yeah.
To make sexual images using deepfake and publish it. It was bipartisan. It was illegal.
Watched by the First Lady.
Yeah, I think they're intentionally trying to bait Trump to get him to take action against him. Instead, Trump just insults him and says, "I don't know."
Yeah.
But I do think it should be illegal to publish AI-generated pornography of someone, regardless of whether it's a politician.
Well, you got to be careful. And this argument, they'd say it's not pornography. Trump's just naked.
Well,
So the Take It Down Act says intimate images. So it covers what they did.
Intimate images, meaning...
You naked.
Okay, well, there you go. Then it's...
But the left would argue pornography is something different.
What makes it different?
Pornography is implied to be sexual acts, not just nudity. The implication...
I mean, most OnlyFans pages these days are actually just naked photos. So, I mean, it's still pornography.
Yeah, the difference is the intention for sexual titillation. And if you argue that nudity, the intention with this was not to get people off.
Was mockery.
Right.
I understand that, but still.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if Trump should take action against them. I'd actually say like this. This is the law. It was bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans agreed on it. So why would Trump not enforce the law? Mm-hmm. He's not banning TikTok, and he should. If he's going to have personal reasons for not enforcing the law, I guess.
On the TikTok front, I thought they were buying out the U.S. assets and making it into MT.
Who's they, though?
I forget who the list of buyers included.
The point is that Trump has continually given them extensions, despite the fact that it should have been shut down.
The decision was made, though. It was only a couple of weeks ago.
Right. And when the law was first enacted, Trump said, I'm not going to enforce the law. And then when the month was up, he says, I'm not going to enforce the law. And now they have a decision. Mm-hmm. Right. Trump's makes decisions when he should or should not enforce the law. It's what the executive does, I guess. Mm-hmm. In this regard, it violates the Take It Down Act. Trump could just say, take it down. Find them.
But then they're going to be like, when are you offended, conservatives?
But that's what they want
You
to do.
snowflake?
They want to bait us in that, Phil.
Yeah.
They want to bait us into that. The same people that yelled snowflake cancel culture are trying to cancel a comedy show.
That's why the episode's not funny.
Correct.
There were a few chuckles. Cartman is upset that woke is dead and he has nothing to do anymore. So I guess they're mocking like anti-woke media or something. And then he says, he threatens to kill himself and Butters. And so there were a little bit of chuckles there, but it's kind of weak. But I will give him that. Cartman being upset that woke is dead was an actual joke on satirizing the current state of affairs.
Yeah.
That he had nothing to do anymore. His activism was over. The Trump stuff was literally just, it was dejected. It jumped from scene to scene that made no sense. Like one scene is at a party and there's a weird song saying Christ makes money. Christ makes money. And like a big component of the show is they're mocking Jesus. The issue that the citizens of South Park are angry with at Trump, the reason why they want to riot, is because Trump mandates prayer in school. And Stan won't, he says, we don't have any room at our table for Jesus. So politically correct principle is now power Christian principle. And they ask him why he's a Christian. And he says it feels right. Then they show Trump at a pool where it's singing a song where they're going, Christ makes money, Christ makes money. And then for seemingly no reason, Trump is now inside the White House where Pam Bondi says your supporters are mad. Then Saddam Hussein voices, gets on the phone. They threaten him for some reason, but none of it really makes sense as to why they're mad at him. Because it's not about Epstein. They don't say anything. It's almost like the episode was made before, like this week, and they knew what was going on in the news cycle. Mm-hmm. South Park notorious was famous for getting all their episodes done in 4 days or something like that. This one didn't address anything or mock anything in particular. They just kind of, and then at the end, Jesus shows up and stands on a giant loaf of bread and then is talking under his breath about how he has no choice but to come to the people of South Park and perform a sermon because Trump's threatening to sue him. And then the people of South Park panic because Jesus tells them Trump will sue him. So they agree to settle with Trump. And in the settlement, they have to make a PSA about how great Trump is. And it's just an AI video, live action of Donald Trump fully naked. And you watch him walking buck naked to the desert. And then he stares at his penis for like 30 seconds.
This sounds like a fever dream.
Sounds like they didn't actually want to do anything and got $30 million. So here's a question for you guys. If they offered you $1.5 billion to do this, would you do it?
To do what? To make South Park?
Yeah.
I mean...
But intentionally, like, you have to mock Trump in every episode.
Oh, no.
$1.5 billion.
There are plenty of better ways to mock Trump, so yes.
How would you mock Trump?
I mean, I think that he's making a fool of himself lately, and there are plenty of opportunities to
Like, what's one example?
write jokes out of that. I mean, I don't know, I'm not Matt and Trey, but...
Amnesty on farm workers?
Disagree?
No, I do disagree, yeah. So the amnesty on farm workers point, I think we can talk a little bit about that, but I think look at what Salazar tried to do a week and a half ago with the so-called Dignity Act, right? You've seen this, of course, right? Maria Salazar, the Republican congresswoman from Florida. She's trying to pass a bill that says that if you've been in this country for even upwards of 30 years illegally, you only have to pay a $7,000 fine and you get to stay here indefinitely. The president's opposed to that. And so the idea that we would give amnesty to anyone to be allowed to stay here, to continue to take American jobs, take American benefits, whether it's Medicaid or education or healthcare, I think the president's against that.
Well, I was trying not to say the E word, but I was more so referring to the Epstein-related cover-up.
What would you want him to do on Epstein a little bit differently?
Literally everything. How about not lie?
What did he lie about?
He's outwardly lying to the American people, saying that it's a hoax, and then telling them that they are traitors to his movement for asking very reasonable questions. Do you really feel like totally okay with the way he's handled this situation?
Look, I think that I would lay the blame at Pam Bondi for setting expectations a certain way when she said they're on my desk and handed out a bunch of phony binders to a bunch of influencers.
That's laughable. I think Pam Bondi is getting scapegoated. Like, okay, sure, she looks idiotic, but the buck stops with Trump. And he overpromised and knew that he was overpromising on this.
When did he overpromise?
Prior to the election. He was asked, are you going to unseal the JFK documents? Are you going to unseal the MLK files? And then once it got to Epstein, he said, yeah. But like, there might be some innocent people in there, we want to kind of, have a common sense approach, and then I could tell from that moment on that he wasn't going to follow through on that promise. And it's gotten worse than just not following through, because they shouldn't have even addressed it if they weren't planning to follow through. It shouldn't have even been mentioned. It's also not it's not a voting issue. No one voted on it. And now we've gotten to the point where they are just piling lie on top of lie on top of lie. And it's kind of pathetic to watch Trump doubling down every single day, as well as his supporters, some of whom are trying to maintain the access they have to him and the rest of the White House. People who either have jobs there already or want jobs there.
Sure. Look, I get where you're coming from. It's frustrating. What I will say is this, though. When we say and then, by the way, that interview was Fox News, Rachel Campo-Stuffy asked President Trump in that interview, who went JFK, MLK, and then asked about the Epstein files. Here's the issue with the Epstein files for just a moment. You have grand jury transcripts, you have FBI transcripts where all sorts of things were said. I'll give you just one example. Matt Gaetz, as we all know, was investigated by the Department of Justice and the FBI for allegedly sex trafficking teenagers across state lines. Federal sex trafficking law. He was not charged. Do you believe that they should release the Matt Gaetz files, the DOJ?
Okay. Are you saying that those are comparable situations?
No, I'm not saying at all. But what I am saying here is that in both of those cases, one is not being charged. The other is beyond the statute of limitation. So give you an example. If we had video right now that conclusively proved that Bill Clinton, who is an absolute sick man, did in fact sex traffic young girls, the statute of limitations on that is 8 years.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot bring a case against that individual for that.
Then they should publish the videos.
Well, so
okay, no one was really expecting
not videos of the
see
trafficking.
Bill Clinton charged past statute of limitations without proper evidence.
The reason for wanting the files to be released is for exactly this point.
yeah,
So if there's video of Clinton abusing girls, we're not going to release that.
sure.
If there's video evidence of him doing some kind of business transaction and loading girls into a van or whatever,
Absolutely.
you blur it and you release it.
Absolutely.
So that's why people want the Epstein stuff released.
Also,
No, I
the
get
child
that.
abuse, the child abuse aspect of it obviously is horrific, but I almost think that it is being used as the salacious tabloid version of what we're really talking about, which is a blackmail ring that allegedly controls the policies and statements and votes of all of our leaders. And child abuse just happens to be the vehicle for it. So I think there's maybe a little bit too much focus on the salacious nature of it and not on the substance of the issue, which is a blackmail operation run by Epstein, who is allegedly an intelligence asset for some government, probably Mossad. That's the substance of the issue.
So that's what people believe, or that's part of what people believe. But is that what you believe as well?
I don't know. I'm not going to claim to know. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know anything, especially because they haven't released these details, and they won't.
That's why I asked if that's what you believe, not what you not. I'm not asking.
I believe there's strong evidence for it, but I'm certainly no expert. But neither are any of the people who are rightfully demanding this information.
But what if the FBI interviewed a Democratic operative, someone who hated Trump in, say, 2015, 2016, who knowingly lied to the FBI about all these salacious allegations? That would be released under the Epstein files as well as an FBI interview that was undertaken by someone who was knowingly lying, right? And look, the president asked this grand jury transcript to be released in the Southern District of Florida. The judge denied that from being unsealed. I'm with you on this. We need to get to the bottom of it. But I think the question is, what do we mean by the Epstein files? What does that actually mean? So if we drop that PDF on your computer, what's going to be in there? What type of documents?
Okay, no one thought that Epstein had an Excel spreadsheet on his computer that had like my clients, number 1, Bill Clinton, number 2, Donald Trump. Like nobody thought there was a spreadsheet of clients. But this guy was inviting politicians and public figures and celebrities to his home and had cameras rolling the entire time and had prostitutes there who were underage.
This is a point that I made the other night or whatever. Like, when people say Epstein list, what they're conceptualizing differs significantly from one person to the next and to the
Correct.
next. Some people believe that it's a list of people that actually engaged in sexual activity with minors. Some people think it's a list of people that are being blackmailed. Some people think that it's just a list of people that have been to the island, and some people think it's just a list of people that have flown on his jet, and that's actually even already been disclosed. I don't know which one is right, but I do know that there's a wide variety of what people conceptualize when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein.
We should have the unredacted files of each
Totally
one of
agree.
those categories
Well,
you mentioned.
I don't think there is unredacted files of all of those. I think that there's some kind of list of associates, but I don't know that they're a list of people that he was blackmailing. I don't know if it's a list of people that had engaged in sexual activity with minors. I don't, rape of minors. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying that people have a different conception of what has actually happened. And I think that there are two groups of people, and I've said this before, but there are two groups of people that are really passionate about it. And they're small groups of people, but they're extremely vocal. I think there are the people that...
Yeah, I feel like we've said this exact same thing 700 times over the past 3 weeks. And sorry to interrupt, but
That's fine.
The question I was having is, would you accept $1.5 billion in order to insult Donald Trump? Mary said yes. The question was, what could you mock him for? And then it turned into a debate over the Epstein files again. So I
would mock him for that. Yes.
I agree. I agree. Trump could be mocked over the Epstein files, and that's my principal complaint with the South Park episode, is that they didn't mock him over anything.
Correct. I mean, I think that's low-hanging fruit. I think I would have mocked Pam Bondi for having these binders, that information that was 6-7 years old, and having influencers pose with them. That'd be a really funny scene to mock.
They could have made fun of the list is on my desk.
Yes.
They could have had Eric, Stan, Kyle, and Cartman go to the White House and walk out holding up the binders, and
Exactly. That'd have been hilarious.
it would inside the binders it's just pictures of crudely drawn crayon cats,
Correct.
like Trump made. They could have done a bunch of stuff.
You could have had the Wall Street Journal's so-called letter, right? Yep. And joked about that. But Mary, I see where you're coming from, and I share the frustration. But if you care about, and I know that you do, about this issue of transparency, we have a president who's taken more questions in the last 48 hours than it seems like Joe Biden did in 4 years. We have a president who shut down the southern border, where tens of thousands of women every single week were being trafficked into sex slavery. This has been a president who stood up for women. I want to see more done on the Epstein files, but I agree with Phil. We have to understand first and foremost what that means. I grew up in South Florida. There is a world in which I could have easily crossed paths with Epstein and had lunch with him as I was soliciting a donation for my nonprofit or my hedge fund. He was, I don't run background checks on folks before I meet with them. So I think there's a world in which we're going to end up hurting people who end up getting lumped into these files. Oh, the files are anybody who ever emailed with Epstein over the last 10 years prior to him being killed. And make no mistake, he was killed. Jeffrey Epstein was killed. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, if you ask Cash Patel.
Since we're talking about South Park, though, my question is that something they wanted to write? Is that an episode that they wanted to write, but were told explicitly by executives at the network that they were not allowed to write? Because I think that's plausible.
I mean, maybe it was, but Tim's point is well taken. They did have a plethora of things that they could have talked about.
Seamus does it all the time.
Once a week.
Seamus is independent. They are not. They're under the thumb of this network that probably wouldn't want them to touch certain subjects.
No. I think they're lazy and checked out. And these old boomer fogies, I'm not blaming all boomers. Calm down. I'm saying there's a bunch of boomers who are like, we don't know how to be funny and edgy. Let's hire the South Park guys. They're young and fun. It's like they're 60. Or whatever. I don't know.
For real?
I don't know. What are they, 50?
They're in their 50s. They're probably, I think they're older than me, so they're in their 50s.
And they were like, they're funny. They were funny in the 90s, dude. When did that show start? 94 or something?
97 or something like that. 96.
97. And they had a good run in the early 2000s. And it's been all downhill since then. And they've got some good episodes. The Obama diamond heist was funny.
Yeah, remember Kanye?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fish sticks.
Fish sticks.
Hilarious.
Sticks.
Yep. They had a bunch, and the point of that was that he couldn't understand what they were saying in the joke, and he was taking everything personally.
Yeah.
They don't mock and you know what? At most, it was a unique joke to Ye.
Yeah.
With Trump, they were just like, I don't know. He's
Small
got a small
penis.
dick.
Right.
Just show it.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, you could be funny, you know. But let's jump to this next story. We got this from Politico. Judge orders Kilmar Abrego Garcia released from criminal custody.
Well, that's insane.
Though immigration enforcement officials signaled that he's likely to be redetained when he arrives in Maryland. I love this because my question is just like, look, guys, I don't want to be pessimistic. I do know that we have a lot of great victories of the Trump administration, but holy crap. Come on.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this can't be laid at the feet of the Trump administration.
Why not?
Well, because this
Nothing can be.
They brought him back.
No, but these are the people that are releasing him. I'm talking about this particular thing, the release of him.
Trump brought him back.
Yes, fine. That can be laid at the feet of the Trump administration. But the release of him can't be. They should have left him at CCOT or whatever it is down in.
Of course, this is his fault. The immediate assumption is if you return the Maryland man to the United States, they're going to release him. Trump's DOJ knew that. Are they this weak that they can't deport a guy charged with human smuggling, a known member of MS-13? They can't deport a guy back to his home country? This is absolutely insane.
This is what's so frustrating. It's like nothing can be Trump's fault and nothing can be Trump administration's fault. That's how it feels these days. So it's scrolling through the timeline is all of these people making excuses.
I disagree. I think that most people that are talking about specifically the Epstein file stuff, like that's everyone is calling it the Trump administration's fault. But when it comes to this, yes, okay, so fine. If you want to lay this at Trump's feet, the Garcia stuff, fine. But it's not like they're not deporting people. Now, I understand that you have a problem. I know, roll your eyes because you don't think they're deporting enough. But, like, they've done really, really significant work at the border. There were, like, no crossing last
My
month.
point was always just 14,000 in a month is not
Enough.
mass deportations, and it's not even like a fraction. That if we kept going with numbers like that, that would be way less than 1 million in his entire term.
We have 1 million self-deportations.
Yeah.
1 million people logging onto the CBP Home app, not
Is-
CBP One, taking the $1,000 check and saying, I'm going to take my trip back. You know why? Because of the
not-
deterrent.
Is that
they've
what
not-
anyone voted for?
But they've not
we
form-
voted for them
Okay.
to leave.
Yeah,
we
to
didn't
get
vote for them
them
to
out. I
leave
don't
in a
care.
certain way.
Okay.
They've not formally published that. I think only Trump has said it. Trump and Christine Noem. They've not formally, through records in the DHS, drafted the report of like the total. So we don't.
I don't think ICE is publishing.
We tried
numbers right
fact checking this and we couldn't find anything other than a quote from I think like Christine Noem and Trump.
now. No, like everything Trump does is so great. Like
No one's saying that. Like, it's just,
tiresome.
no
Mary,
one's
Trump
saying
can't
that.
do anything wrong. When will you understand this?
I
Trump
should. I
is-
need to understand
Trump-
this. I need to go to the re-education camp. I need to go to Alcatraz.
Well, the point of
Get
Alligator
re-educated.
Alcatraz
is truth and good incarnate, and that means if he does it, is true and good.
Maybe I have a different perspective because I am looking at what is going on in comparison to what the option was, right? Like, if the option is Donald Trump or Kamala Harris and 4 more years of Democrats and 4 more years of unlimited immigration and 4 more years of more DEI programs in the government, the things that have changed since Donald Trump has been elected are massive, and it is significantly better than the option. And we only had 2 options. It's not like there was a third option that we could have gone with.
We should compare Trump and the actions of his administration not to what could have been if Kamala won, but what he promised. We should compare Trump to Trump. We should compare Trump's actions to Trump's words.
He should be compared
comparison that should be
realistically,
made.
considering you're talking about politics in Washington, D.C., he should be compared to every single president before him. How much has any other president gotten done in the first 6 months?
And they're all on the Epstein list.
Fine. But like legitimately, like the I understand that you're saying, well, Trump made all these promises and he hasn't done enough to make me feel like he's actually following through. Fair enough, okay? But you also have to deal with the fact that like there is a way that things get done in DC. Like, no one wants to look at how sausage is made. And this is something that I've talked about prior to Trump getting elected or early when he got elected. Like, we only have a narrow majority in both the House and the Senate, right? You can't get a bunch of stuff passed if you don't have 60 senators, and there are not 60 senators. It's 53 with JD Vance, and 2 of them are as wishy-washy as it comes, right? And then in the House, I think they have like 10. I'm not sure what the lead is,
8.
but 8. So there is a process that must happen in the House and in the Senate before things can get done. Trump has done a significant amount of stuff through executive order. The government has not been smaller in 30 or 40 years, I think, since the creation of Homeland Security and since 9/11 at least. There are significant things that have happened. Now, I can totally respect the idea that he's not doing as much as you want or as much as he promised, but to say that he's not doing things, or to say that he's a failure when he's 6 months in and has done more than any other president in this amount of time, I just don't think that's
Fired
accurate.
26,000 IRS agents.
Yeah, that's one of the things that he's done. So again, I understand people that are critical and saying that, he needs to do more. But the idea that, he's not done anything, he's terrible, blah, 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 like that is just not true, especially when you compare him to the reality of what other presidents have done and the resistance that he's getting in Washington, D.C.
I don't know if I'm even saying he's terrible, he fails at everything, blah, 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 as you were saying. I just want to consider that 6 months is a longer time than you seem to be framing it, especially considering that as soon as the clock strikes 12 for 2026, all anyone is going to be thinking about is the midterms. And then by the time those are over, all anyone's going to be thinking about is who's running in 2028.
You're 100% right. And that's something that we've talked about here. 18 months. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
And I've said
That means
multiple times.
if he's going to go after Obama, it has to be in the next couple of months.
I'm not. When it comes to the Obama stuff, I've been reading some of this stuff, and I'm not 100% sure that there's an actual crime. It's immoral and it's bad.
There is.
I'm not sure what the actual statute they charge him under.
So here, I'll tell you, Phil. It is Trump looks at the statutes, figures out which one makes the most sense, tells a jury to pick the crime that they want, and they charge Obama with it, like they did to Trump.
Then
the standard that was created by Democrats is they can bring anybody that went to court and tell the jury, we have no evidence of any underlying crimes. You decide if a crime was committed, and then tell if he's guilty or not. And then when they do it in West Virginia, and everyone goes, sure, he's guilty of I don't know, jaywalking and murder and whatever else. So that
completely
doesn't matter what the crime is. All that matters is you agree. Obama's guilty.
I'm completely comfortable with that because that was the standard set by the Democrats.
So first, as Mike Davis pointed out, you have potentially conspiracy against rights. That is, in the documents that were released, let me tell you what CNN has been doing. There's 2 IC assessments. There's a 2016 Russia interference assessment and the 2020 post-Russiagate assessment. The 2020 assessment says that Barack Obama knew that the intelligence they had was raw and bad and did not meet the standard for publishing, as it was uncorroborated, and it was a sentence fragment they could not corroborate, but ordered Brennan to publish it anyway. What did Brennan do? Despite all of everything they were saying, now you can make the argument, okay, well, never attribute to malice that which can be explained by incompetence. Obama's just dumb. Nobody's going to believe that.
Nobody's going to believe that.
No sane, rational person is going, Obama was just a bumbling moron. No, Obama intentionally had them release that information as a predicate for the Russiagate hoax, which resulted in the arrest of several of Trump's associates, falsified evidence against Carter Page, Ukraine leaking damning information against Manafort, and then not to mention Flynn, Papadopoulos, and Trump himself, who they targeted him for 3 years as a potential traitor to this country. If that's not a crime, you want to tell me that there's some dude who bashed an ATM open's going to jail? I got to tell you. The dude who grabbed $73 out of a cash register at a bodega did substantially less damage to this country than Barack Obama did.
The J6ers who peacefully walked around the Capitol for 20 minutes.
In the velvet ropes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So
they behave themselves unlike BLM.
Conspiracy against rights is the easiest if you're trying to be a paladin. If you want to be a rogue who wins, it is, pick and choose. We can probably get him on a lot of things.
But look,
the nature of politics this is what irks me about the Republican Party. The Republican Party pretends that the nature of politics is, well, let me take a look at this here piece of paper. Let's see what we got here. It says here that we can't charge Obama. Drats. After everything he did, looks like he got away with it. Democrats go like, the law says that, anyway, arrest him. That's how the Democrats run.
I'm in 100% agreement with if they can come up with something, then I'm perfectly fine with it because go ahead.
What they can do, Phil, right away is they can subpoena Obama to appear before Congress. Obama will lie under oath, as he has time and again, and then hit him with the same thing they hit everyone else with, all
Perjury
the
trap.
conservatives, all the perjury traps. By the way, Fauci, we know he perjured himself.
Yep.
Before the House committees on the question of gain of function.
Why aren't they
research.
arresting him?
Why is Kash Patel not at Fauci's door in Glover Park with an FBI squad taking him into custody?
They should.
How many conservatives have they thrown in prison because of that? Right? And so Fauci, charge him tomorrow, but Obama, just subpoena him. Can you imagine, by the way, House Republicans and Senate Republicans grilling Obama, the optics of that, having to explain himself? It'll be the most watched congressional testimony. The second
true. They
he
won't do
says
it, though.
something, have Cash and Dan Bongino take him into cuffs right after the committee meeting's over. But they won't do it.
They won't
But
do it.
why?
Mike Cernovich made a great point today. He said with, Thomas Massey, he's got this picture of him with this binder on the Epstein files. How come none of these people, these Democrats or Republicans who want the Epstein files released, have had any hearings on Epstein and called in the prosecutors, Comey's daughter perhaps, or even people like him to testify as to what Epstein was doing?
That's right.
So I forgive me if I'm going to be a little pessimistic. I know Trump has done a lot of really great things, and I still think he's the best president of my lifetime because he's gotten things done. But I don't think the system is going to change. I don't think they're going to go after the corruption. I think you got two high-profile, powerful, high seats of power in politics, and they're basically saying, I don't feel like the fight. Fauci should be in jail.
Yes.
Even Newsweek published he lied to Congress and lied under oath. Rand Paul has reiterated numerous times and referred him to the DOJ. Yeah. It is the simplest case ever.
It's the simplest case.
It is in public. He did this. And he lied about gain of function research. He said they weren't doing it. They were doing it. Great. Pam Bondi could have a warrant for his arrest overnight, and they won't do it. Why?
Well, the reason is because that, just like Aaron McIntyre, our friend, says, is they just don't have the courage, right? Like, if you don't exercise power when you have it, which
Correct.
is what the Republicans should do, but if you don't exercise power when you have it, your enemies absolutely will. And that's what the Democrats have shown over and over and over. They arrested Trump. They arrested all of his prosecuting all of his lawyers, et cetera. All these people, they've got the mugshots and stuff. They will do it if they get back into power. So the Republicans absolutely have to do this stuff, or else the American people are going to totally lose faith in that they have the ability to actually make changes.
Correct. And make no mistake, Barack Hussein Obama is a treasonous criminal, but Anthony Fauci is a murderer. Anthony Fauci's death count is well over 5 to 10 million people because of the gain of function China virus, right? He lied about that. And so the time they spent, Tim, that little intern of Pam Bondi's, printing those binders and putting them together and bringing them to the East Wing of the White House, they could have written the 4-page indictment. That's all you need is 4 pages. On this date, he said this. That was a lie according to Exhibit A. Therefore, we are charging him with U.S. Code Title 18. Boom. Take him into custody. Bring him before the court.
Indeed. Let's jump to this next story. This is from the New York Times. Appeals court blocks Trump's attempt to restrict birthright citizenship. The ruling from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit brings the White House's theory of citizenship closer to a full Supreme Court review. In the meantime, of course, Trump is being blocked. And you know what I was thinking? We have another story here. J.D. Vance pushes for automation of agricultural industry. No amnesty for illegal immigrant farm workers. I'm going to put on my conspiracy cap for a second. If you knew the history of, say, like the Luddites, how automation took their jobs away, this is largely what they opposed, was the automation taking away their work and leaving them destitute, you would plan for AI and automation. What's a clever way to deal with it? Mass migration. Create the problem. Mm-hmm. The people react to it, and then you offer them the solution. You know what we're going to do? We're going to deport all of those people who took your jobs, and you know what we're going to get? We're going to replace them with robots. If you just said we are going to fire our farm workers and replace them with robots, you'd have riots.
Yes.
But if you replace the workers slowly over time with illegal immigrants, piss off all the people, about the jobs being taken away.
Correct.
Then J.D. Vance says, we're going to get rid of them and replace them with robots. Now there's no one to protest.
Correct.
So maybe that was the play. I don't know. Conspiracy theory.
Well, it's an interesting one, right? Because they're both bad, but to your point, the way it was sequenced out, right? You have Kilmar picking the strawberries, or more appropriately, the 10-year-old who's forced to pick Chelsea Handler's weed so she can
Kilmar
smoke
was
a blunt.
picking the people.
He was picking the people and transferring them in his trunk. Look, automation should not be opposed for automation's sake. The reason, though, we've automated car factories for the past 70, 80 years is that actually in some agricultural spaces, like strawberries, for example, it doesn't make sense to automate. These are delicate fruits that humans need to pick. You don't need migrants to do that. You don't need slaves to do that. You can pay Americans a dignified, living, fair market wage, and they'll gladly do that work, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that the part of the reason why they haven't automated strawberries is because the low pay workers are an option.
They're cheaper.
Yeah. So
Cheaper than the robots.
Well, not only that, but they haven't made the robots, because they have robots that can do sorts of things.
Agrobot, Octinian, and Harvest Crew pick strawberries. But it's cheaper to have slave labor.
Well, it's cheaper to have slave labor. There's no question about that. The question is whether it makes sense for some places to make that large upfront capital investment for robotics versus even paying folks $20, $25 an hour. So it's not a clear-cut thing.
Sure.
Right? Some places have kiosks like McDonald's. Some places actually like In-N-Out Burger, you walk up and you order your burger and fries.
So how far out do you think automated humanoid robots like Optimus? How long do you think until those could do the job that immigrant workers are doing now?
So I spent a lot of time thinking about this because I run an investment firm, and Tesla's among our largest positions. So we have to think about and model out Optimus. So as we speak right now, Optimus is serving popcorn at the Tesla diner in LA.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, serving popcorn totally autonomously. You go up to it, hands you the thing, puts it in there, hands it over. That's incredible.
I don't believe it. They had that party with the Optimus bots, and it turned out they were remote controlled.
But they admitted that. What they've said now is this is actually an autonomous Optimus robot. That was 8 months ago. It's now been trained on the model even better. Now, it's not talking to you in a coherent way, but it's all it's doing is grabbing the popcorn, putting it in, handing it over to you.
They have Grok.
I mean, they can add Grok to it, and then
Right.
added Grok to the Tesla. To your question,
I hate it all. No, because I have Android, and it used to be the Bixby digital assistant. I would just press the button and say weather, and then it would pull up a window showing the weather. Now it's some weird guy going, "Hi Tim, the weather for today is going to be." I'm like, "Shut your mouth!
just give me the weather.
Just give me a picture I can look at."
Correct.
Now it just goes, "Today's weather is going to be a high of," and I'm like, "Ugh."
But
it takes longer.
That's why ChatGPT is really impressive. What they're building out at OpenAI is because they have what's called memory and they have context. So if you tell ChatGPT once, Tim, I only want you to give me the weather or show me an image, it will remember that across all your devices.
Well, do you guys know who Gunther Eagleman is on X?
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Grok says that he killed a guy. Or,
way.
yeah, something like that. And
Well, Robbie Starbuck was defamed apparently
Right.
by a chatbot, you know?
Yeah, I think who was it? Was it GPT?
It was a Meta.
Oh, it was Meta. It was Meta.
He said that he stormed the Capitol.
Yep. And so I saw this thread. Gunther Eagleman is like, "You were wrong. I did not kill anybody." And it was like arguing with him. It was like, I don't know. It's like a police report saying you did. And then he posted a picture of the police report. It was a different guy with a similar name.
Interesting.
And then Grok was like, "I hereby retract all statements. I was wrong."
Oh, wow.
And I thought that's really interesting. Like what? Why would it just assume whatever he sent was real? So I opened up the Grok app and then I typed it in, "Did Gunther Eagleman kill a guy?" And it said, yes, he did. It said, "There are conflicting reports. However, a man of the same name did slash someone in the neck, killing him or something like that. I don't know if he killed him." And it was like, "Though he has disputed this in the past." And I'm like, wait. You can't just say that about somebody.
Yeah.
Now, he's a public figure to a certain degree. I don't know what the law would be on that in that regard. But it is wild that two things in this. We know they lie about everybody, and we know that they hallucinate and make things up. But it was really rather shocking to me that on X, he posted an image of the police report, and it immediately rewrote its own memory and backtracked everything it was saying. And I'm like, so anybody can just make fake stuff and feed it into the AI?
Yeah.
There was an article written about me claiming that Timcast IRL makes $175 million a year because I was mocking Colbert and made a joke. A news article gets written about it, and now it's a fact.
Yeah.
The AI is going to ingest that news. And so then I went to, I think, like GPT, and I said, how much does Timcast IRL make? And it said, conflicting reports. One report suggests he makes $175 million per year, although that number seems, very high for a podcast. Typical ranges are estimated between, 5 and 8 million a year or something like that. And I'm like, no joke. Somebody literally saw a gag tweet from me, wrote a story about it. It got ingested by the training models because they're online. And now it is legitimately telling people that it's possible we make $175 million a year. It's amazing.
Right. Well, imagine what an investment algorithm would do. And if you had a stock and then all of a sudden it knew you made $175 million, it could bid your stock higher on that false information, right? But I think this goes to the point, Tim, that we are not automatically inferior to AI, because we would look at that at first blush and say, Tim's smart, he's wealthy, but that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Except there were tons of people responding being like, wow, you make $175 million?
Can I get some?
And then people responding with like, wow, what do you spend that money on? And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is still hallucinating, but it's still like an infant technology.
It is.
Whether it be AI or whether you're talking about robotics actually are not infant, but having robotics that can
that
do
train
things.
themselves on its own neural net, where you go to Optimus, and Optimus has never picked up books and put them on a bookshelf before, but knows through its training, through the neural net,
Wow,
that it
dude.
can do that.
ChatGPT says Gunther Eagleman stabbed a guy. Wow. Even though he wasn't. Yo, this is crazy. Gunther, you gotta sue. I gotta pull this up. This is a crazy
Sucks
story.
for Gunther. I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, so you're saying that Optimus actually is able to train itself?
Correct.
Because I know that some of the ways that they have been working with the AI is basically they would put Optimus in a room with like toys, and it would literally play with toys.
That's right.
Right. So they've gotten to the point where it can actually interpret, like put these on the shelf, and it'll do that stuff.
Exactly. And so the idea is use those model experiments to build out the physics engine of Optimus to train itself. But for example, if we had an Optimus here, it would never have been necessarily trained on putting books and taking the covers off and putting them on a bookshelf. Never have been explicitly trained on that, but could still render that task. That's the power of it.
Yeah.
Is you never have to train it to take out your trash or to pick something off the lawn, but it intuitively knows how to do that.
That's impressive, because I was under the impression that essentially they were training it to do things, and then once you trained one Optimus how to do things,
Everything.
then all of the Optimus would know how to do this one task. But it's actually able to learn
Correct. And then
in the
scale
real
it out.
world.
So train it to do, say, 5% of all things. So for example, I have never had to do the task of taking a book that is hardcover and putting the covers back on it. I've never done that in my life on a large enough task. But I know how to do it, right? And so the point is, how do you get Optimus's aggregate intelligence to be able to do tasks that it's never done before, but it can intuitively iterate and figure out how to do it on the fly?
This is actually smarter than the plug-in in the Matrix, where you plugged in and learned a certain task or whatever.
Correct. And I have a Tesla car, and it's the same thing. That Tesla car, I live in rural Florida, about 20 miles south of the Georgia line. That car has never been trained to drive in rural Florida. Never. It's never trained on my block, but it's been trained in San Francisco and other places as well, to where it's built out this end-to-end neural net that even if it's never driven on those roads, at those intersections, on those roundabouts, at those U-turns, it intuitively, neurally knows what to do next. That's how you scale it. Now, Waymo, that's the Google technology that they have. It's fixed to a geofence. So that same Waymo that can drive brilliantly in San Fran or LA or Phoenix, you put it here in West Virginia, it could not move 10 feet.
Okay, so
because it has not been expressly trained on these
they give
streets.
Waymo the map.
Exactly.
And it knows where it is on the Google
on that map.
Okay.
But it knows nothing else. And so now what you're seeing play out is Waymo and Tesla's robotaxi in Austin in a very similarly sized geofence, but Tesla can scale like that. Think of it this way. Austin has 1,500 Uber drivers in the Austin metro area. Tesla produces in its Texas factory 1,500 Model 3s and Model Ys every single day. That means that in one day, Tesla could totally take over and be bigger than Uber in just Austin. And then you have the fact that there are millions of Teslas all over the country that with a software update, Phil, could become this robo-taxi and pick people up. That is a massive deflationary force. I'm also excited about it because it means that rural Americans can actually have a real form of transport to get around. They need to get around. A third of the country lives in rural America, but Uber doesn't exist out there. Public transit doesn't exist out there. And robo-taxi can help getting people to church, to jobs, increase labor mobility, wages, et cetera.
The funny thing is, there was a viral post where a guy worked for Lyft. He posted how much money he made.
Yeah.
And then he posted his yearly maintenance and repairs.
Yep.
And he lost money.
Yeah. You cannot make money on Lyft.
Yeah.
You
Or Uber.
literally cannot make money on Lyft.
Any of them.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't.
the driving apps, what they've basically done is trick people into stripping the equity out of their vehicles, thinking that they're getting money, but they're actually losing.
Correct.
You'd be better off just selling half your car to somebody and then using that money and then owing them or something.
That's right.
Do you think that robotic taxis will be profitable or can be
Oh,
profitable?
absolutely. Absolutely.
So can you go ahead and unbox that?
Sure. So the biggest reason why is because they can run 24 hours a day, right? The second reason why is that it's cheaper to power an electric car than it is to power a gas car. It's about 80% cheaper. So a lot of that cost is going to come out. The third is the maintenance. The average internal combustion engine car, ICE car, has over 10,000 moving parts. The average Tesla has 90. So think about the maintenance cost, the energy cost, the scaling cost going down by a factor of 1/100. It's 100 times.
So you're saying buy Tesla stock?
But saying buy Tesla stock, I'll go even further.
That's financial advice.
That is financial advice. I want to be careful there. I believe you should buy Tesla stock, but I'll take it a step further. We are launching at Azoria, my investment firm, Tim. You're familiar with call options, right?
Yeah.
So we are launching a Tesla fund, the first of its kind ETF, that buys both Tesla stock and call options on Tesla stock. We think Tesla's going to $1,800 a share. It's $330 right now. It's going to $1,800 by 2030.
Can you explain long, short, call?
Yeah, what's that ETF called again?
People don't understand.
It's called TSLV. It's coming out in 2 weeks. Very simply, to your point on what a call option is. A call option allows you to own more of a stock than you want to put money into. So if a stock like Tesla were to go up 20%, you could buy a call option that would only risk 1/20th of that amount of the Tesla stock, but your call option would go up 30, 40, 50%.
What is the mechanism of that?
It's an option. So it's a listed option where you're essentially going to another person saying, I want to pay you X amount of money to be able to buy Tesla above a certain price. You will sell me that because you're short because you think Tesla's going to go down. There's a lot of people who think Tesla's going to go down, a lot of short sellers. That allows you to get leverage on the Tesla stock. And so what you've seen, and Kathy Wood, I met with her about this recently. She's the big investor who's been long Tesla for a decade now. She made so much of her money early on just by buying Tesla call options. Because if you told me right now, you guaranteed to me that Tesla was going to go up 40% in the next 12 months, I could put together a portfolio of options on Tesla, call options, that would go up 400% if I knew that it was going to go up 40.
When Elon started flirting with buying Twitter,
Yeah.
the stock plummeted.
Yeah.
And I'm reading the news, and we always talk about this on the show that we read the news the moment it happens.
Yeah.
And then the stock is actually behind because most people don't learn as quickly as we do because we're on the forefront. So when the Tesla thing happened, I thought to myself, how insane that Tesla stock would go down because people are political about Elon.
Yeah.
So I bought a bunch and doubled my money.
Nice.
That was very smart. Yeah, and the same thing happened with the Doge stuff very, very early on. Stock got down into the low 200s. The thinking was that he was going to somehow hurt his brand. Now, that's the case, Mary, if you believe that the company actually sells EVs as a business, that their job is to sell cars. Their job is to sell their AI, is to license out their AI, to build out the Optimus program. No one's going to own a car probably in 20 years. You have the right to, right? But why own a car when you can have a robo-taxi pick you up for $3 and take you across town?
Because my Model S is sick.
It's a great freaking car.
It's the planned future for robocars. They made a video. There was a viral video about this like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Is that nobody owns a car. You think to yourself, we're going to go to a restaurant, and then you take your phone and you just hit the rideshare button, and then you walk outside, and literally within 2 minutes the car is there because every car everywhere is automatic.
Yes.
There will never be traffic again. because as your car is about to enter the highway, it's communicating with the entire network of cars, and they all can adjust. They can accelerate and decelerate at the exact same time, and they can space out to make room for you to merge in perfectly. So it's seamless.
Yes.
One of the funny thing is that there was a MythBusters episode on traffic where they had a bunch of cars driving a circle, and they created traffic jams, and it was unavoidable because at a certain you have a reaction time. So when the car in front of you stops, you stop. When they start, it takes you a second to start again. If all the cars are synchronized, they can all start at the same time and stop at the same time. Never be traffic again.
Yeah.
Never.
I think about how much time that's going to save for people, right?
This sounds deeply unappealing, though, because it means that people are going to have less self-determination if their ability to get transportation is controlled by a corporation.
You mean when you say a naughty word and they ban you from driving?
Yeah, or who knows what else?
It's not debanking, it's de-driving.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
So you're right, Mary. I mean, there's reason to be concerned about it. I think as long as you willingly partake in the system, now you should still be able to have the right to drive, of course. No one should be subjected to this Klaus Schwab, the year is 2030, you own nothing and you're very happy, right? But if you go out of your way, and like tell you, my grandmother, she passed in September, she didn't have a means to transport herself for the last 10 years of her life. She would have killed to be able to have a car pick her up and take her out. And I think a lot of people are like that as well, who want to have a better job, who want to earn a better wage, but don't have a means to get across town or even the next county over, Serge, and say, look, I want to be able to do that. And for $2, $3, I can do that on the Tesla Robotaxi network. Now, there's going to be competition. It won't just be one company. Google will be in it, Tesla will be in it, and others. But that's a really exciting future for a lot of people, I think, Phil.
I'm not particularly put off by AI or robotics or anything like that. I think that it's extremely exciting, and I think that it's gonna be obviously disruptive.
Yeah.
But I don't have like a doom and gloom outlook on it. I think that there will be benefits that significantly outweigh the cost and the negative factors. So.
Yeah.
Let's jump to this next story. We've got this viral video going around. Law enforcement in Florida is warning of extremely dangerous door kick challenge. Check this out. So there's a bunch of people that walk up to the door, bring camera.
With airsoft guns.
Yep.
So dumb at night.
Guys, whenever I bring up social discohesion or whatever, people always go, this stuff always happens. It's been happening forever. It has never happened that rogue bands of teenagers took fake guns that sound, I don't want to say real, but to someone who doesn't know what's going on,
They look real.
Yeah.
They look real and they sound like something.
Sure.
And for the average untrained person, it has never existed that this kind of stuff was happening, and so frequently and so commonly.
Yeah, people will say, "Oh, well, everyone knows Ding Dong Ditch and
Yeah.
et cetera." And I mean, even I have played that when I was a teenager, when I was a kid. But we weren't going with masks on, and we weren't going with toy guns trying to scare people, and we weren't doing it in Florida, right? Like
The worst state to do it in.
the location does matter. Like if you're doing that in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
you will get one reaction from people. If you're doing that in Florida or in West Virginia or in any other of many red states, you will get a totally different reaction, and the results for the homeowner will not be as catastrophic, because even if they did, God forbid, they actually shot a kid, if the defense is, look, these kids were banging on my door and I saw them outside with a gun, even though they didn't know, even though it was airsoft,
Nobody would get convicted for that.
it's
in Florida.
likely that they would not be found guilty of homicide, you know, or it would be they would consider it justifiable. So don't do this. This is dumb.
Don't do it. It's like the YouTube pranks, Phil, where they pull out a little fake revolver.
Yeah.
Except it looks real. How would you know? And they try to rob somebody on the New York subway.
They're doing that?
Yeah, there's been videos of this done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one guy shot. What was that one prank in New York? He shot and he was acquitted, right? Because in that moment, there's no expectation that you can differentiate between an airsoft gun.
Nope.
It's not a toy gun, right? A Nerf gun is a toy gun. It's yellow and it's purple.
Yes.
And it's got,
There was-
right?
matters.
It looks like a real gun, and so it's going to end in tragedy. Sadly, probably one of those kids was going to have to get shot for this whole thing to end. I hate to say it,
But you don't even need a gun. There was the story out of the mall just down here. Which one was it? The Dullestown Center, where some YouTube prankster was getting in the face of some guy holding up a phone. So the dude drew his gun and shot him in the stomach.
Yes.
And when that kid ended up in the hospital, he came to his senses and told everyone he's going to keep chasing his YouTube dreams.
Yep.
He doesn't care.
Good Lord.
Well,
And YouTube should have banned him.
they should have banned him. But remember, if you question the 2020 election on YouTube, you were literally banned.
Well, for a while it was that way. I mean,
That jury got acquitted. That was several years ago.
yeah. I mean, it's
Crazy. That poor delivery driver, dude.
yeah. I mean, look, I can't.
Tanner Cook. That dude should be banned from all social media.
As a very pro Second Amendment guy that carries a gun and stuff, I cannot emphasize more strongly, do not do this stuff.
Do not.
It is only going to end with bad things for everyone involved, because even if you're the person that, God forbid, shoots a kid, your life is going to be hell for 2 years, and it's going to cost you
No winning.
$250,000 to $500,000 to defend yourself. You're going to have to.
It looks like this dude did quit YouTube.
I hope so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a positive update. I mean, no one who would do something like this would hear someone say "don't do it" and not do it. That's the problem. They don't think.
That's 100% right. I know.
They just act. They're just.
This is the social decay is all of these people who are desperate for attention. They want to be seen and they don't know how to be seen. And it's driven by these short algorithms, these TikTok, Instagram, YouTube algorithms. So they're just trying to figure out how to be crazier and crazier and crazier, like the people who go to Walmart and dump milk on their heads.
These kids weren't even filming and posting any of this. This was just for
that's right. They
the
weren't even-
sheer thrill
one
of
looks like they're
making
recording.
someone think that they were about to get shot.
This is behavioral sync.
Yeah.
Idle hands, the devil's playground. When you are worried about winter coming and you starving to death, you don't do this.
No, well, if you have a father in the home, you don't do this either. Let's be honest. If you have a two-parent household, if I would have pulled something like that,
I don't know. I think that Tanner Cook guy might have two parents. Like, bad people do bad things sometimes.
Well,
I think we want to easily say two parents is an important thing. It is, but I think socially, regardless,
of course,
it's behavioral sync.
Yeah.
We are at the point where we don't struggle anymore, and so people are sitting around thinking, "What gets me attention?" Well,
Correct.
you know what got you attention back in the day? Doing something heroic.
Yep.
You guys know the story of the Iditarod? Mm-hmm. That people were dying, needed medicine, and so they were like, "We have no choice." And they're like, "You'll never make it. You're crazy. Those dogs can't make it that far." And then they did.
Yeah.
They did it because it was about saving lives. Now it's like, "Oh, well, just get a helicopter." Okay. Yeah, we got tons of them. We got too many, actually. You know, we'll leave one there. And so people are sitting around being like, "Where's my great journey, adventure? How do I prove myself?" Well, the only way to do it on social media nowadays, not the only, but the fastest and easiest way, is to be a nut job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
right.
whole separate case of this in a different area in Florida with two teens caught on camera kicking in a neighbor's front door, and one hiding in an attic and the other admitting, "We were just being stupid."
Wow.
Clearly.
They're all visibly black, by the way, and that should be noted because their levels of violent crime are absolutely out of control, and we need serious law enforcement response to it. It's outrageous.
Well, I mean, look, the idea that this is entertainment, that this is something fun. I understand your point. Like the people that are likely to do this are not going to be the people that are going to be listening to me or take my advice. But this is so I just can't emphasize enough. Like, this is so dangerous and such a stupid idea. Just don't do this.
Don't do it.
There's not really a whole.
I mean, they should be tried as adults and
Oh, absolutely.
probably locked up for life because
So what is
this is
the
the type of
charge?
behavior you see early on in someone who ends up being a serial murderer.
Do we charge them with like aggravated?
Trespassing.
No. When you bring a fake gun to someone's house,
Well,
and
no,
bang
okay,
on
so
their door,
yeah, so the fake gun is something entirely different. But
attempted murder.
well, it's certainly attempted burglary, trying to break into someone's house.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder what the charge is for. So in Illinois, it's interesting because assault is I forgot how they phrase it, but it's making someone believe they face an imminent threat.
Sure.
That means in Illinois, in New York, assault is actually touching someone and causing damage. If there's no damage or visible injury, they don't charge. In Illinois, assault would be flinching at you, walking up to you. Yep. And battery is when they make contact in a way that injures or embarrasses. So I'm curious if Florida has a charge about what would you charge someone with if they point a gun at your head, right? Would you get attempted murder? Because you're making someone fear they're about to die, and that's what these guys are doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the actual statute would be, and I imagine that it would probably be different depending on which state you're in.
Sure. Well, let's put it this way. Right now, you should expand the reckless display of a firearm statute to include anything that a reasonable person would perceive to be a legitimate firearm, right? So, Serge, if you come up and you pull out an airsoft gun and try to rob someone and carjack them, we're going to charge that as if it's armed carjacking.
Yeah, absolutely.
End of story.
In Florida, it would be aggravated assault.
It would be.
If the victim reasonably believes the weapon is real, it will be felony to the third degree, up to 5 years in prison.
Right. And in the meantime,
unless the AI is just hallucinating and making it all up, but it probably is.
Yeah, but look, Tim, you've mentioned this yourself, like kids that might do this kind of stuff, oftentimes they're looking to go to jail, or they'll go to jail and they'll only get, they'll look at, okay, well, I'll get my street cred, and I'll come out and I'll have people that will look at me as if I'm a tough guy or whatever. So
that's why I'm
looks
saying
like the 15-year-old and the 13-year-old were arrested facing felony burglary charges.
That's in Florida too.
13 is crazy.
That's why I've been saying
in Florida,
you make them wear diapers and baby bonnets and march down a main thoroughfare while saying I'm a big baby boo-boo.
Deputies said the girl's mother was furious after learning what her daughter had done. And you didn't know where your 13-year-old girl was in the middle of the night.
Yeah, 10:30, 10:24 p.m. on a Friday night.
It was a 15-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl in DeBerry,
Remember those
Florida.
commercials?
Parents.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
And there's a personal responsibility aspect to this as well. There's no question. Right? But you touched on it, Mary, but there are obviously implications in particular racial subsets. When you don't have two parents in the household, you tend to see more reckless behavior. It's just the truth.
I've scrolled through every Ring camera video that is available. Literally every kid doing this is black.
Well,
and that should be talked about.
You got to be honest about it. And that probably has something to do with the fact that 70% of black kids growing up in America right now don't have a dad. And that's not because of marijuana laws.
I don't think the dad issue is the reason why across the board we see all sorts of action like this.
No, I don't disagree with you on that at all. But what I would say is this, is that if you have a black kid who's got two parents and a black kid with just a mom, who is more likely to pull this crap?
The person without two parents.
Right.
But that being said, the trend of psychotic internet pranks
agreed.
is being done by literally everybody.
Elevates this sort of black culture.
Yeah.
It's like unacceptable.
I don't disagree with you on all so here's the first thing I would say. You're looking at all the videos that have come out about it, and everyone doing it is black. But I'd like to actually see the reports, the actual hard data on who's doing it. I don't think you're wrong to bring it up. I'd say before we start taking enforcement action or looking into cultural and social issues as to what's going on, is it the videos we have are showing black people doing it, or is it statistically like we have the data that it is only black people doing it?
Well, it's the former, but we also have crime statistics to help us out here with context clues.
Don't bring up 1350, Mary.
But
and it's not even 1350 because it's actually mainly the males who are committing violent crimes. So
the question
6%, really.
So the question then is, in what neighborhoods are they doing it? Are they doing it in their neighborhoods? Or are they going to other neighborhoods?
No, because they would get shot in the neighborhoods if they did it.
I don't know.
Do
you know these neighborhoods? Like, would you?
I don't know.
Have
that doesn't look like.
But here's the other issue. If we're talking about general crime, the question is, this is a specific kind of weird crime that they don't get money from, and they're not filming.
It's what do you call it? Behavioral sync?
They're calling it a
sync.
TikTok challenge, but I'm not seeing any of these kids holding phones up and recording it or posting it. I haven't seen any examples of that. It's literally all just Ring footage. So it's literally just for the sheer thrill of making someone believe that they're in danger for their life.
Yeah.
That's it. And who knows what would have happened if the homeowners tried to confront them and how it would have escalated.
Well, the homeowner would have argued it de-escalated.
It's not even about the homeowners either. It's sooner or later, someone's going to be walking down the street in Florida strapped as they're allowed to.
2 million of us are strapped in Florida.
And they're going to see two guys wearing masks with guns go up to a house and they're going to scream and draw their guns and say freeze, and those guys are going to start and they're going to get shot.
Yeah, well, that would solve that problem.
There's a.
I don't think it would.
I think it would seriously deter that kind of behavior. Yeah,
I don't think so.
This is suicidal.
I don't think so, because in Chicago it never has in 50 years.
I just put a link in the Slack about a 18-year-old Virginia high school senior died in a shooting early Saturday that may have resulted from a TikTok prank.
Wow.
That's
Was
the.
it the
This is
door
back in
kick
May.
thing?
We covered this back in May.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Was it the May? Yeah. Okay, May 6th. All right.
What was the context there?
It's a ding dong ditch.
Oh,
Yeah, we covered this back when it happened. It was they were doing a ding dong ditch, and I think they arrested
3
the guy.
a.m.
Yeah, they arrested the guy, and we called it out like, what?
that makes any sense.
Yep.
There's crazier stuff.
I wonder
than
what
that
happened to this guy.
That's more overtly suicidal, like the Subway Surfer challenge. Like they're trying to recreate the mobile game and run on top of trains in the subway system in New York. And I
What?
think at least one kid died.
Yeah.
You see, now look, I got to tell you that the kid who was doing the 3 a.m. ding dong ditch was white, and the homeowner who shot him was black.
Yeah.
It was
And
in May.
this was back in May, and this homeowner should not have been charged. It is sickening that he was charged.
Was it withdrawn?
I don't know yet. This is from May, so
Yeah, I don't see it.
So okay,
I don't.
so-
Let me see if I can find the guy's name actually. Like, you're at home, it's 3 a.m,
Oh, I'm shooting.
and strange people are are doing something on your property. You know what? Now, I don't know the full context, but apparently it wasn't a ding dong ditch. It was some other kind of prank. So it's been a while since we covered this story. So I need to look at, pull it back up. They're saying they were recording ding dong ditch pranks for TikTok videos, but there was something about it where it wasn't. It was like you try to open their door. You check to see if doors are open or something like that. It was something like that. Let me see if I can find it.
God, it's fine to like play pranks and stuff like that, but trying to enter people's houses or whatever.
But I guess
It was an attempted home burglary.
Yeah. Well, and I guess
Yep.
I guess the question too, Tim, is this a convenient excuse when you're trying to charge a bunch of juveniles? No, it was just a joke when they were actually trying to break in to steal property. It was just a TikTok joke.
Yeah.
Right? Is that just the excuse afterwards to not charge us?
Yeah, and in the context that Tim's talking about, even if they weren't trying to steal anything, the fact that they were trying to open the door, that's attempted burglary. If you go through any barrier, Tim's mentioned it before because of the barriers that are set up around here. If you go through any barrier, that's burglary. You've committed the act of burglary just by entering in a place where you're not supposed to be. So the idea of trying to pull on a door, it's attempting to burglarize a house.
Correct. Or what if
So
the next challenge is try to steal your kid in the mall? Like our goal is to go up and grab a toddler and
doing
take
that.
him. Are we doing that too?
Yeah, the kids who survived said they were just doing a ding dong ditch, but the homeowner called 911 to report a burglary. So I don't believe a 3 a.m. ding dong ditch. I wouldn't be surprised if they
It was
were
actually a burglary.
So one of the pranks is you try and open doors,
Right.
Because people leave their doors unlocked. There was one video out of the UK where they were entering homes that were open. You see that video?
Yeah.
You just walk up to a house and then go inside, and the people would be like, "Oh, geez, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Bro, if you're in West Virginia and you walk in the house, no one's going to ask you what you're doing.
No.
They're going to scream at the top of their lungs and point a rifle at your face.
Let me make it a race thing again, because the guy who was doing that was a streamer named, I think, Mizzy, and he ended up going on Piers Morgan's show to interview about what happened, and him literally jumping people, going in their houses, and he tells Piers, like, "You're racist.
Yeah.
You're criticizing me for committing crimes. That means you're racist, and you just hate black people."
I have
It's messed up.
a former police officer friend of mine just texted me, and he's like, they're training for home invasion, which is completely realistic to think, attempting to see what they, to see if they can get inside and where the line is drawn for that kind of behavior,
Yeah.
It's like car picking, just
Yep.
Well, and just think about it.
They were at the sliding glass door of his house. It was not a prank.
It's not a prank.
This is
that was
like
their
the
excuse. We
Purge
got
shit.
caught, so we're gonna
This
cry
is-
TikTok, right?
This is why people are hiring Uber for personal security. Not Uber, but basically. the
Oh
same
yeah,
thing.
was it
LA,
called
right.
Protect
This
or
is
whatever?
why we're gonna get to the point where you're gonna have the Purge style home security systems
Sure.
that
You mean like South
close in-
Africa?
Yes,
Yeah.
literally like South Africa, yeah.
Right, but leveled up even more, like metal barrier over every entrance to your home overnight. Yep, and even interior.
There's no updates on this guy. That's, dude.
That's messed up.
It's just a terrible idea, and it can only end in tragedy. Right? I mean,
For either, to your point, even if the person, to put the defendant through that, lose his job, lose his family.
They issued a statement. They said, our family is united in support of Tyler Chase Butler, who acted out of genuine fear for his safety and for the safety of his mother. Tyler found himself in an unimaginable situation, forced to protect his home and his loved ones in the early hours of the morning. We are aware of the profound loss experienced by the loved ones of the young man who lost his life. Our thoughts are with them during this difficult time. We urge the public and media to avoid speculation and allow the facts to be fully examined. Tyler is a young man who responded to an immediate threat, and we stand by him as the truth of the situation comes to light. This is a challenging time for our family, and we respectfully ask for privacy as we continue to support one another. I want to know what the details were, because apparently some details came out. People online are saying that they were at a sliding glass door. They weren't just doing a ding-dong ditch. There were 3 people. You don't go up to the house, ring the doorbell, and then stand there and wait for a guy to come to the door. They were doing something. I've heard some rumors that the prank that people were doing is they go to houses and try and open the doors and then see if they can get inside.
Well, you can get shot for that.
Yeah, he'll die. West Virginia, man, is no joke.
By the way, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian. If you do that in West Virginia, you're going to get shot.
yeah.
West Virginia is one of the few states that
Equal
allows you to
opportunity.
defend open property. So in Maryland, if let's say in Maryland you have 10 acres of farmland or something, and someone crosses onto your property and screams that they intend to kill you, you are legally required to flee to your home. Once in your home, if they try entering your home, you're allowed to defend yourself. Lethal force. In New Jersey, you're never allowed to do it.
Yeah.
In West Virginia,
To run into Pennsylvania.
in West Virginia, if they enter your open property and are threatening you, you're allowed to defend yourself with lethal force. What that turns into is a lot of cases in West Virginia is the police are called. There's a dead guy, a living guy, and the living guy says it's my property and he threatened to kill me.
End of story.
End of story. There's no witnesses. And it doesn't matter. So the issue then becomes you can't just kill anybody if they're on your property. Because a lot of property is open. For instance, like we have a big open field and it's 50 plus acres. So there's no fencing around the other properties. Some do. And sometimes people will cross through ours. You can't just shoot them. Unfortunately for the people who do this without realizing it, if you die, there's no crime. The police are going to come to the homeowner and they're going to say, hey, threaten me. And the cop's going to say, okay. What are they going to do? It's your property. That person isn't supposed to be there and you were threatened. End of story. Don't trespass. Be very careful. I've had people come out to West Virginia, and I can't remember where we were, but there's a big open field that was clearly private property, but like you could walk through it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. It was like 2 years ago. They were like, let's just cross through here. I think we were somewhere near Berkeley Springs. I don't know. And I was like, nope, that's not a public thoroughfare.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but it's like we're just going to cross it. No, we're going to drive around because you walk through that field and someone might be like, what are you doing on my property?
Yeah.
And then you say, I'm just trying to cry. No, you go back the way you came.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the only thing, the only option when someone's, has a rifle pointed at you,
Let's jump to this story, my friends. We got one more for you. Fox News, 1 year after Biden's unprecedented exit from 2024 race, Democrat poll numbers hit rock bottom. That's it, man. I don't know where how the Democrats come back from this. We were talking about South Park earlier, and it seems like they're going to try and be anti-woke edgy and mocking Trump, and they want to belittle Trump. They're trying to win back the podcast comedian circuit. They're trying to win back the Joe Rogan types. That's why they went for South Park. But I don't think Democrats can recover this unless they abandon gender ideology and critical race theory, which I don't think they can.
The more progressives have been trying to double down on that kind of stuff. I heard Ayanna Pressley talking about DEI and how DEI was extremely important. This is just today. I heard a clip of her talking about DEI and how it's super important, and that without DEI, we won't make any quote unquote progress and stuff. The progressives are going to double down on it. The smart Democrats like Fetterman, like Josh Shapiro, they seem to be moving away from this stuff.
Like Buttigieg, dare I say, I'm not his biggest fan, but he can read a room a lot better than these Democrats can.
Yeah, and I don't think that Buttigieg has much of a chance, but it is a good point to point at him about this stuff. The smarter Democrats are moving away from this stuff because it's not popular with the American people overall. Again, this is something that's a small group of people are very passionate about it, but the rest of America's like, man, I don't even care. Like, I'm worried about, and I've said this a bunch of times, I'm worried about kitchen table issues.
Sure.
Is the economy good? Can I pay my bills?
Can I get a mortgage? Can I buy a new home?
After all the inflation that we've had, wages still have not caught up, and people seem to not understand that wages are a lagger and inflation is a leader. That's part of why there was such a massive wealth transfer. That's part of why there's such income inequality that people talk about. People that have money can get loans.
Correct.
When there's 0% interest rates or 1% interest rates. Those people have businesses. The people that don't have money, the people that have that took the Biden bucks or the money that Donald Trump handed out, they take that money and they spend that money. Who are they buying things from? The people that have money. This is not super complex, but it takes a while for wages to catch up.
Exactly. For the same reason, it's the same reason why a lot of regulation, a huge corporation can easily absorb the costs of new regulation, and they use regulation and granting new regulation in the government in order to squeeze and destroy small businesses and medium-sized businesses, because they can't absorb just massive cost increases or regulatory increases, et cetera. They can't stomach that. They can't handle it. They'll just go kaput. And it happens all the time. Happened in 2022. If you didn't see it happening in your own towns, you're lying to yourself. Like, it happened all the time. Happened in LA. I saw it happen personally, but. Yeah, you're exactly right on.
And Serge, one of those regulations that's popular even amongst Republicans is what's called occupational licensing. I got my hair cut a couple weekends ago.
Crazy.
It's insane. 1,800 hours to become a barber. Insane. That benefits the supercuts and the hair cutteries of the world. Regulation is always the friend of big corporations. It is always the enemy of small businesses and entrepreneurs. Louisiana, Tim, it wasn't just until 2 years ago that in Louisiana, you needed a license to pay a fee and to pass a test to be a florist, to assemble the daisies and the tulips. But again, that was the big floral lobby.
But I mean, think about how hard it is. If you were just your run-of-the-mill old, biologist or scientist trying to take viruses from one animal and then contaminate other animals to force the virus to become more potent, you can't even do that in the United States.
You can't even do that.
You have to go to Wuhan, China to do something like that.
Correct.
Ugh, can you believe this?
And then when you do it, blame it on the bat soup, because that's definitely not racist.
Right. Yes.
But it's racist to say it came from a lab. And to come full circle, arrest Fauci. Arrest him. What are we waiting for?
Well, we were talking about regulation, and I made a joke, but now we're on Fauci.
Agree.
But anyway, to regulation, I think a lot of people don't realize how insane regulation really is.
Yeah.
And how some of it's good. I'd say most of it's bad.
Most of it's bad.
It is psychotic how insane regulations are.
Well, which
Most people-
examples would
people
you
don't
say
know.
are good?
Like you can't put like lead in people's water.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
bet
mean?
they do that anyway.
Some places do. There's pretty simple ones that we think some are good. We think some are bad. Like liberals don't like the regulation of marijuana. So if you're a business and you're going to be serving food to people, and they say the content of rat feces in the food must be below a certain number, I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah.
But when they say, in order to get certified to clear your restaurant of rat feces, you first have to go, we're only open once a month.
Correct.
You can come down with your paperwork. Unfortunately, if you make any mistake, you'll have to come back next month.
Yep.
And then once you come in, we'll submit your files to the Rat Feces Assessment Bureau, who will then give them a few months to go through this. They'll get back to you. And then once you have that paperwork, you can then go to City Hall and file for your tax permit to get your certification, because it has to go through the tax office to get the final certification. And then once you have that, you can apply for the display permitting, which is required to open your business, which takes another 6 months. Thank you and have a nice day. Closed.
Right.
Worst part is that person also is earning a salary, and they're also getting all these benefits, and they're going to have what's the word for like a stipend at the end of the year or at the end of their service. I forget what that's called.
Apprentice.
Basically, the issue we had with the building for our coffee shop was it's a historic building. So any changes has to go through the Historic Society, which meets once a month.
Interesting.
And we were like, okay, well, that shouldn't matter because we don't have much to change, right? Well, unfortunately, the fire escape door that you have connects to it connects into a back portion of the building with stairs, which now means that it's a single floor as far as occupancy goes.
Oh.
And that means you need access for the handicap to get to the second and third floors. And so we said, okay, we'll just close that door off and do a new door. Okay, well, then you have to go to the historic department to alter the building to that degree. So we said, well, then we will, because we don't want anyone going to the second floor. And they said, okay. And then, unfortunately, the Historic Society said, first month, we're going to have to take a look at this and figure it out. The next month, the dude who was supposed to be here to work with us on this isn't here. Next month. And it went on and on and on until we said, okay, can we just use the elevator in the building to qualify for the handicap requirements? And they said, well, actually, the elevator is a historic elevator. And it's not up to code because it's from 1908. And if you want to get it up to code, you got to go through the Historical Society. And so we said, okay. And then after basically like 2 years of all of this, we just sold the building.
Yeah.
Bye.
Think about the employees you could have employed there, wages they could have earned, the money they would have spent in their local community. Right.
And the locals told us it was all the same thing. The people who are there and who have businesses, like, worked full-time for years to get final approval. Martinsburg is now saying we're going to relax a lot of this, probably because I've been complaining about it and people are mad at me. But we are still partnering on the shop, so we don't own it anymore, but there will be a shop. So
that's awesome.
That's exciting.
What are you going to call it?
Casper Coffee.
Cool.
Yeah, it's our coffee company.
Awesome.
We have a bunch on the way. I can't speak too much, but this stuff takes forever. Like if you want to start a franchise company, it's like a year of federal regulation before you're allowed to do anything. It's psychotic. I don't think it's an accident. I think the U.S. government intentionally uses regulation to stifle business on purpose.
Agreed.
I think that the government's attitude is we don't want too much growth, and I'd imagine the argument is if we grow too rapidly, we can create a period of instability where if we can't sustain that growth, we can retract too rapidly. So let's sludge everything up so we can make sure it only grows a little bit over time. I think they do it I think they won't tell you this. They'll constantly talk about how they want to hit good numbers, but they want to slog up the system intentionally.
Yeah.
Well, they want growth, but they don't want high volatility growth. They don't want GDP of 10%, then GDP of -9,
That's
then
the point.
GDP of 20. Then
so they want to control it.
Correct.
Yeah. Federal Reserve, they want to control the flow of money. They want to control population. So, what happens to any species when they reach the maximum point of resource distribution? They become sickly and starve. So if you take a look at the deer population in our area, last year, the deer were all starving because people weren't hunting them.
Okay.
You ended up with this massive deer population. They ate all the food.
Right.
And then, although they had this massive population, they were all sickly and starving. So the idea is if humanity grows to the point where we strain all of our resources, we reach parity with resource, we all become angry, sickly, and starving because there's enough to get to that population. So powers that be in the U.S. government are like, no. We should always make sure growth can't exceed a certain amount of excess. So they will restrict you intentionally, and I believe they use regulations for that on purpose.
Yep.
They definitely do it because businesses want them to do it too, because they want to get rid of their competition. You know what? I was going to say, when I got my hair cut in college, I got my hair cut from a roommate who lived down the hall, and he charged $8. The barber shop charged $60 that was down the street. And so, of course, you want to create a regulation that says that guy is going to charge $8, has to go through 1,800 hours of barber training and all sorts of nonsense.
I want to do a quick review for the Fast and the Furious, for the Fantastic Four.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I said that. It's because
Natural alliteration with the F.
Well, no, it's because I like that movie better.
Okay.
And I'm a huge
You don't
fan
like this one, do you?
Oh, this was one of the worst movies
this
I've
afternoon.
ever seen. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Pedro Pascal was the worst casting choice imaginable. It is the most miserable acting I've ever seen. I like Pedro Pascal in a lot of stuff.
I didn't really.
And they overuse him.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to spoil the film for you. It's mostly spoiled already because there's no story. The movie is a 2-hour-long trailer, and what I mean by that is when you watch the trailer and it jumps from plot to plot, like because they're not trying to tell you the full story.
Right.
That's 2 hours of this. So without spoiling, I'll give you an example. The movie starts with a montage explaining who they are. The next scene is a minute of them being like, we're having a baby. I'm not spoiling it. That's actually in the trailer. Then it's a montage of superhero nonsense, unrelated plot points. Then you get a scene where in the trailer, like I'll put it this way, everything of the movie that you've seen in the movie is the trailer. What you saw in the trailer is the movie. There's nothing else. They can have a nice day. Shia LaBeouf arrives. That's the name of the Silver Surfer, which is again in the trailer. She says, I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus. And then they go, oh man, montage. Basically, every time something happens, you get a voiceover showing a bunch of stuff happening in a time shift. There's probably 20 or 30 voiceover montages stringing the movie together because there's no actual movie. Reed Richards never uses his power one time at the end. The Thing uses his powers one time at the end. Human Torch uses his powers quite a bit. Sue Storm does quite a bit, but usually for just like I'm being a woman moments. So like, I don't want to spoil plot points, but basically mostly when you see her use her powers, it's because of some like, she's embarrassed about something or angry and she turns invisible, like not actually fighting. And then, a good example is basically it's like Galactus is coming. What do we do? And Reed's like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden it goes, the Fantastic Four did a bunch of stuff and things happened. And then it shows them getting on a spaceship. And they're like, let's go faster than light. Then they go faster than light. And it's like, okay. Then they're at Galactus. Again, this is all in the trailers. Then Galactus is like, I'm evil. And they go, run. And like, I'm like, why? What's happening? Why is any of this going on? And then they go back to Earth. And they're like, we are going to die. And everyone's like, why? And it's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay. And then they're like, how do we stop Galactus? And then he's like, I have a plan. And then they have a plan that makes no sense and has nothing to do with the movie. And then it time skips and it goes, all of the nations of the world had a plan for Galactus. And then the Silver Surfer fights and it doesn't make sense. Then Johnny is like, I don't want to get too spoilery, but he like is talking to the Silver Surfer for some reason, which has no impact on the plot. And then at the end, they never defeat Galactus, and the movie ends, and you don't really know what happened or why. And
There's
then
a sequel coming up, you think? They set it up?
yes,
Well,
and then there's an after credit scene in which you see a green cloak, and that's it.
So the Green Cloak part, the Reed Richards is supposed to be the new leader of the new Avengers, and the Green Cloak is Doctor Doom, who's played by Robert Downey Jr. If this is a flop, if this movie doesn't go, I don't see how they're going to have Pedro Pascal.
Well, it's getting great reviews.
Is it getting great reviews?
Yeah.
Sorry, but this is part of MCU?
Yes, but they're in a standalone universe 828, which is Jack Kirby's birthday, I guess.
Okay.
But it's the...
That's what they did at the end of the movie.
Is this
They're
Marvel
like,
Studios, though?
yes.
And they put together that crap?
This is, like, I'd love to spoil it to a certain degree, but the easy way I could explain it is that, you know, like in a lot of movies, like Fast and the Furious is a good example. Dom is washing his car, and then, like, The Rock pulls up and he goes, Dom, a super spy has stolen a submarine. And he's like, we're on it. And you're like, oh, okay, a thing happened. And then he gets in the car. Then he goes to the airport. Then he gets on a plane. Then he meets with the CIA and Mr. Nobody. And Mr. Nobody's like, we're going to use you, Dom, to stop this bad guy. And you're like following a chain of events. This movie was a thing happens, and then a voiceover montage explains something else happens, and then a thing happens. Like, why did they go to outer space? None of it makes sense. There's no story whatsoever. Okay, I'm going to partially spoil this because it's the key plot element from the comics, which is already well known and is already on all the forums. Galactus wants their baby. They don't explain why. It makes literally no sense. And it's just like Galactus is like, I will have your baby. There's only one point in the film that I really liked, and it was just one line from Vanessa Kirby when Galactus is trying to take the baby and Silver Surfer is there. She goes, Johnny, kill her. And I was like, wow, that was awesome. That's the only thing I liked in the whole movie, when Sue Storm orders Johnny Storm to kill the Silver Surfer, because I'm like, you don't get that in the superhero movies from Marvel. Like the superhero saying, like the way she said, kill her, and then he actually shoots her in the face. I was like, all right, okay. It doesn't do anything to her, but
Is that the only redeeming scene, you think?
It's because she's like, the only thing redeeming about the film is that one point where she's like, I have a baby and I will kill you if you touch it. The rest of the film is just
pronatalism.
It's so bad. Right. It's so insanely bad.
Anything woke?
No, it's just really bad. Okay. I don't know. Guys.
Yeah, we're starting to remember that we used to have like movies that were just bad.
Yeah. As opposed to
this is Daredevil, Ben Affleck bad.
Oh wow. Okay, that's
a little bit worse actually. I wanted to walk out. No joke.
You did not leave. You watched
I did not leave.
I didn't catch your thoughts on Superman.
I liked it.
You liked Superman?
Yeah, Superman, I give like a B. I think it was a generic Superman story. And if you like Superman and the Lex stuff, it was very basic. Wasn't woke, wasn't political, wasn't about immigration. It was literally Lex being Lex and being like, Superman! And
I mean, James Gunn said it was an immigrant story, so I
that
don't
was,
know.
But that was,
know what to believe.
they baited him into it.
I know, but it's like, shouldn't you be smarter than that by now?
Yeah.
Were you born yesterday?
This movie, okay, let me just stress this again. It's not a superhero movie at all. There's no superhero stuff in it. The only superhero stuff is the opening montage where they're like, it opens with a fake TV show documentary about the Fantastic Four to prep the audience for who they are. And then the whole movie is like, there's a weird plot element where, dude, this is the creepiest thing. The Thing, like, is walking down the street for some reason and then meets a school teacher briefly and then leaves and then is in love with her for the rest of the movie. Makes no sense.
Was Pedro Pascal believably heterosexual?
No,
in the movie?
he was awful. It was really bad. And again,
He was a fruit.
well, I don't know about that, but he's not Reed Richards, and it was poorly done. Like it was like watching. I can't even. Ben Affleck's Daredevil was better than this. Like when he's fighting Elektra, at least something is happening. He talked like this the whole time. I was like, what is he doing?
He's also in Eddington, which is in
know.
theaters at the moment.
He's everywhere.
They don't use their powers ever. I'm like, when will Mr. Fantastic actually be fantastic? Never. Doctor Doom is not in it. The end credit scene makes literally no sense because Sue Storm does like a lightsaber thing with her powers. I was like, why is she doing? What is this? What?
Yeah.
Like Sue's powers, she makes force fields, and then at the end, when they're doing the end credit scene, she's like walking into the living room, and then she goes with her hand, and then you see a green cloak, and it just ends. And like, we get it, you're stupid.
You don't see Robert Downey Jr.'s face because they can't pay for that.
They could have just used a scene from Doomsday they've already shot with Robert Downey Jr.
They're in the middle of shooting it. It's supposed to come out in December next year, and that's after a delay. It was supposed to come out next spring, and they're currently in the process of writing it while filming it.
And they don't have
They're
a third
not done
act.
writing it, and they're filming it.
It's bad. And the second after credit scene is a waste of your time. Don't even bother watching it. It's
I
not.
can't believe people even... Like, that's just terrifying that, like, you can brainwash people into sitting there past the credits twice.
You know what's remarkable to me is you can just look at what they did with Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, and understand why it worked and how the MCU was working. You make a standalone movie about the character. It is an origin film. And then at the end, the after credit scene promos the next movie. They then realized with Guardians of the Galaxy, they were like, hey, James Gunn recently did an interview where he said, I was like, can we just say other things in the movies are Infinity Stones? And they were like, oh, okay. And so we have these after credit scenes. We can now combine them and do the Infinity Gauntlet thing. And they had all these standalone movies and they brought them together. Now every single movie is just like the end credit scene is fan service that doesn't mean anything for any other movie. They're not previewing anything. But I just got to say, I wanted to walk out. It's one of there's only it's I would argue that it's worse than Last Jedi.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Bad.
Was it Last Jedi? Yeah. Last Jedi was where Holdo did the Holdo maneuver, and it was like, what was it? Admiral Gender Studies.
Yep.
Like the thing about that,
The whole second act was completely and totally unnecessary. They went to the casino planet and they were just crapping on capitalism and rich people.
I gave this a 3 out of 10. I think that's probably being generous. The reason, so the thing about Last Jedi is that Snoke dies, but there's a story that you're following. This movie has no story. It's nothing.
Did you find the Palpatine thing believable though at the very end?
No.
No, that was Rise of Skywalker.
That was Rise of Skywalker,
which was also really bad.
But Jedi was
This is worse than both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't believe how bad it was. Just read.
I thought killing Snoke was a good scene though.
It made no sense, and it kind of ruined it. But to be fair, the sequel movies were garbage anyway. That made no sense. So whatever. But I don't recommend this film. I recommend you wait till it comes out if you truly want to see it. It's not a Fantastic Four movie. Johnny doesn't even burn his clothes. Like like one of the things about Johnny Storm is that he's on fire. Nope, not in this movie. Like he picks people up, they're not burned.
What?
Yeah.
While he's on fire,
Yes.
this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Nah, he's on fire and he's like carrying kids around and saving people. But there's no real superhero stuff. Yeah, it's so bad. It's remarkably bad. They did Galactus dirty. They did Galactus real dirty. Man. Galactus in the movie is like I'd put his IQ at 73.
Oh wow, room temperature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you watch Thunderbolts?
Yes.
Why do you keep going back to the MCU like a battered housewife? Like, why do you keep expecting it to be good?
We also saw Superman, and it's because depending on the films we go see them. The ones we didn't see was Final Reckoning, which I wanted to see. I'll see that when it comes out on video. But I go see big movies that are culturally relevant, expected to be significant. With Doomsday coming out, this is supposed to. Okay, so in the end of Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four ship breaks into the MCU. Not in the movie at all. Nothing. And everyone's going. But the ship in that movie has three nacelles, and in the Fantastic Four trailers it's got 4. So what is this ship? And then people are showing like the chalkboard in Fantastic Four where you can see diagrams of wormholes, and they're like, whoa. Reed Richards develops interdimensional travel, and this is what's going to lead to. Nope, none of that never happens. The movie was miserable. I thought what was going to happen is Galactus is going to destroy the planet. And again, this is in the trailers. So in the trailers, Galactus wants their child, and he refuses to give them up. What I thought was going to happen is Dr. Doom was going to be in the film, Robert Downey Jr., and he was going to say, you have to give up your child, don't destroy our Earth. And I thought the movie was going to end with Galactus destroying the planet and Dr. Doom chasing after him, being like, you let our entire planet die for yourselves, and then try escaping to another Earth where you could live out your lives. I thought that would be his motivations. Nope. Nope. Anyway, we're going to read your chats. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Rumble.com/Timcast IRL for the uncensored call-in show coming up at 10. If you'd like to call in, become a member of our Discord at timcast.com. But for the time being, let's just read what you guys have to say in the old chats. Shane H. Wilder says, do we think anything is going to come of the DOJ strike force investigation of Obama? Or is it going to be a case of, as Mary would say, nothing ever happens, which is to say that nothing ever changes? Yes, Mary's correct.
I'm glad everyone's coming around. It feels good.
I don't know if I actually would give that 100% because Trump got arrested and nobody believed that could happen.
Nobody believed.
So there's a possibility, especially if the argument is Trump is in the Epstein files and he's becoming desperate. Then wouldn't the liberal argument be that Trump will do anything to prevent the release, including a mass distraction of, say, arresting Obama?
Maybe.
That's what I was thinking, actually.
I don't have a lot of faith that Obama will get arrested, but I do think that it's more likely that someone like Clapper or Brennan or Comey might see some kind of ramifications, but I don't know what, and I don't think that it's going to be jail time.
I believed it was just a rhetorical distraction. I didn't. I don't see Obama getting arrested in our future.
Matt Taibbi seems to believe that there's a lot of there, and Matt Taibbi's not particularly partisan. You know, he's not a guy that was, would be a Trump cheerleader. So,
right.
But yeah, I'm still of the opinion that because there's no specific statute that they can point to that was broken or violated, the Republicans don't have the gumption to do like Tim was mentioning earlier and actually create something. Yeah. Which, I mean, if you believe that what's good for the goose is good for the gander, they absolutely should. But
no one's above the law, right?
No one's above the law.
Obama said it. Every single Democrat said it. If he committed a crime, he should be charged and convicted. It's that simple.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the crime is.
Yeah.
What the statute is. And if
the FBI could always call him in and have him just interrogate him for 8 hours, and he'll lie to a federal agent at some point. There's a statute for that.
I'd love to see it.
I
don't know that it will, but I'd love to see it.
Let's grab this. We got Jay Huigi. Please read, I need help. I've had 5 lung collapses in 1.5 years. Surgery is in September, but can't afford it. Asking listeners to help. No Give, Send, Go, but Cash App is Jennifer Huigi. Please help. Love the show, y'all. Best of luck. That's Huighe. Sorry to hear about it.
Rough.
All right. Guardian says California Kaiser Insurance is not covering sex changes anymore. But how many kids are going to die?
0.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not mad anymore. I identify as tax exempt says the new South Park is a fine example of the difference between forced and organic creativity.
Yeah.
I think I got to call Seamus and be like, can we do a parody of the South Park parody where we actually make fun of Trump in a way that's funny that people will get?
Do it with AI. It's really easy. Make music with it, right?
Well, Seamus, he does this every week.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I just make one. All right. Shane Wilder says, Matt and Trey aren't stupid. When you're given $1.5 billion told to mock Trump, you'll do it, even if it's the tired humor of a 12-year-old boy. Even if it tanks, they get paid. You know, it's easy for me to say that I wouldn't do it because, you know, like we're successful here. I've got money or whatever. But I think, man, $1.5 billion, I think I'd have to do it. You know what I mean? Because with $1.5 billion, seriously, $10 million can fund a massive newsroom, which would greatly benefit this country in, you know, in a positive way.
I'd run it into the ground, I'm sure. The show, because I have no idea how to make a South Park comedy, but yeah.
But he had a better sketch with some of that stuff with the files and going down into the basement. That was
Tim's got an
funnier than
incredible
anything in the
imagination.
show.
Mecca Epstein.
Yeah.
Or just Epstein's alive.
Yeah.
And then they could have made Epstein and Trump friends. And then, you know, like that's the whole play in the press that they were buddies. And then Trump says no one can find out that I smuggled Epstein out of the jail and I'm keeping him alive. Or something like this. I don't know. There's tons of things to make fun of.
Hartman waving the binder would have been cute too.
Right. Yep, having Colin Cartman holding up the binders and I'm taking
Going to look for the Epstein files in Pam on her desk where she said they were.
Uh-huh. And her desk is a
funny.
mess.
Yeah.
And
her desk
then
is a bunch of makeup and lipstick and Fox News scripts, right?
Yeah, Fox
That'd be
News scripts.
hilarious.
Yep. Yeah. Or her desk is just he goes into her office and her desk is literally just a makeup desk.
That's it.
There's no files at all.
Yeah, it's just a giant mirror.
All she's doing is just, pruning herself.
They weren't even trying. The funny thing is, even Trump supporters would laugh at that. What if Matt and Trey were like, we like Trump, so we're going to take the money and then just do a really bad job?
Yeah.
All right. What else do we got here? Crash Bandit says, show me the list, then show me the bank records. Then let us figure it out for ourselves. Is that too much to ask? Indeed. Al Smith says, South Park could easily make a bromance breakup saga with Elon and Trump. Town can be mad about milk and eggs and solve it on their own. Easy 30 million, please. I mean, look, if they're going to keep doing this where they keep making fun of Trump, like they did it with Garrison, now they're doing Trump directly, conveniently after being given $300 million a year. There's so much stuff to make fun of that's not tiny penis.
Yes.
And full frontal. It's like, maybe the idea was if they show the full frontal, nobody would want to watch it.
Well, they also mock him for his weight, too. We didn't talk about that either. They made this giant, fat Trump guy.
I can't play the video on YouTube.
I know.
Because they have a morbidly obese, 300-pound Donald Trump fully nude and crawling through the desert, and then he looks down at his dick for 30 seconds.
Just listening to you talk about it is funnier than the actual clip.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
But the joke here is how pathetic it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
when you actually watch it, you're like wincing the whole time. Like, well, I don't want to see this. Like Trump gets naked and then goes, come on, Satan. And Satan's like, it's too small. And he goes, hey, I'll sue you. It's like, we get it. He said, I'm Hussein. This is the joke you did in 2003 or whatever. CBS should give Seamus $1.5 billion.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Identifies tax exempt says that's not the first Ring video from that porch. It was in another one a few months ago, but I don't remember the context. I recognize the architecture in the background. Fox 463 says I'm in the hospital with my wife and baby boy 3. Please welcome Luke Thomas Fox to the world. Right on. Congratulations. The one thing that I liked about that only the one scene in Fantastic Four is when, so basically, again, it's in the trailer. Reed Richards is like, he wants my child, but I won't give it up. That's literally the trailer. So when Sue Storm is like, kill her, it was the only actual believable acting in the whole movie where I was like,
It's because she's pregnant in real life. That's why.
she is?
Yeah.
Now she is, yeah.
Oh, really? Was she pregnant when she was acting?
I believe she was pregnant for some of the scenes.
Maybe some of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable how, it's such a pathetically bad plot. The plot is they have to give their son to Galactus, otherwise the Earth is destroyed. And
Someone we know is actually staying at the same hotel as Pedro and Vanessa Kirby at the moment, and there are rumors flying that they've got some sort of thing going on, and I'm like, who's gonna tell her?
Pedro Pascal is the worst Worst choice for Reed Richards. What were they thinking?
And for pretty much everything.
I assume they tried to make what's her face Brie Larson the next Robert Downey Jr. and that was stupid. They're probably thinking we need the lead guy who's going to replace Robert Downey Jr. And the reason they chose Pedro Pascal for Reed Richards is because Pedro Pascal is so big in Hollywood right now, and they thought we're going to get the big name to be the lead, who can carry the franchise after our Robert Downey Jr. But he's not it. He's not it.
You mentioned the question of like why Galactus wants the child.
I know why.
What is
in the movie? It makes no sense.
What's their reason in the movie?
Okay, spoiler alert. He says the only thing he says is he has the power cosmic and can feed and satiate my eternal hunger.
Okay, so
in the comics, I understand why he wants Franklin Richards. In the movie, it makes no sense. And it's like Galactus is going to destroy the Earth. Then only because they went to Galactus does he find out about Franklin Richards and then tries extracting it from her body.
The child has the ability to create universes.
That's the comic.
Okay.
And Galactus wants his universe back.
And none of that is explained.
No.
In the movie.
In the movie, he simply says he basically says he will inherit my throne and end my insatiable hunger. It's stupid. It was pathetic. It would have actually been good if they followed the comics and he said, my universe was destroyed and now I am this thing. Your son can bring back my universe. They could have done so much clever stuff that it was just miserably bad. Ugh. It was bad. Anyway, I'd love to spoil more because of how bad the ending was. Like the ending is so bad. It's just ridiculously bad. I wanted to leave so bad, man. All right. One evil chef says, update for Culture War. The fat electrician is coaching angry cops on how to beat arguments about communism and anarchy from Michael Malice. Though if you open the invitation, Nick, the fat electrician, would probably make it more entertaining. Oh, if he wants to come, sure. Absolutely. Who do we get him in touch with?
I'll shoot him a message.
Sean? You got him? All right.
I'll shoot him
Absolutely.
a message.
Donnie Rock says, Tim, turtles need skateboards. Ask the ninja ones. Well, little turtles, they put them on a fingerboard and then they slide it across the ground. Yeah. Wicked Freebird says, Tim, please read this in the Hulk Hogan voice. Well, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. People are saying it always comes in threes, but haven't we had 5 deaths now? Yeah. Chuck Mangione died, right? Yeah. I can't do a Hulk Hogan voice. I got to be honest, though. I did just see him. I think I saw him in December when I was at UFC. He didn't look good. He was having a hard time walking. If he was walking a little bit better, I would have tried to meet him, but I don't want to bother him because he seemed ill.
Yeah, there was a video of him like yesterday saying he was really tired. He'd been flying between the coasts and so whatever. And then apparently that was one of the last videos you put on the internet. But yeah, rest in peace.
His heart stopped.
Yep.
Trump thinks that your body is like a battery, and if you work out too much, you'll die earlier because you're draining your energy. You know,
Donald Trump is wrong.
He's wrong. So I knew this dude who was morbidly obese once, and I said something like, a candle that burns twice as bright lasts half as long, and then he was like, "Whoa, really?" And I was like, "It's just a saying," and he was like, "Oh yeah," like he was thinking, "Wow, by being lazy and overweight, I'm saving my." And that's not what I was saying, dude. That's not what I was saying at all. And so people have asked this question: if your heart has only a certain amount of beats till you die, wouldn't exercising with a really high heart rate make you die faster? And the answer is no, because a fit heart beats less. So when you exercise, you increase your heart rate and do diminish a certain number of beats, but then for the rest of the week, your heart is beating very slow. I don't know if I should be alarmed by this, but like 3 days ago, my resting heart rate was 38.
Nice.
Is that good?
That's very good.
It's getting really
very low.
Yeah.
Very low.
What is it supposed to be?
The average person, I think, is 60.
The average, but then the ideal is
40.
40. Okay.
Yeah, that means you're fit. And so 40 was normal for most of humanity, for men, because they were always working and being fit. Now it's like getting upwards of 80, which is crazy because people are fat.
Right now, it's AI says the average resting heartbeat for adults is typically between 60 and 100 BPM.
Jeez.
However, a healthy resting heartbeat for most adults falls between 55 and 85, with the lower end of this range being more favorable for highly trained athletes. The resting heartbeat can be as low as 40 BPM due to increased cardiovascular efficiency.
Being fat is hard.
Yesterday I was 46, and it gave me a warning because it's above 45, and that's atypical for me. Wednesday was 41, 44, and then I got pretty worried because it was like 40. Yeah. There was this funny thing online where everybody was posting their watches showing their resting heart rates. Yeah. And they were like, look at mine. I'm fit. I'm in shape.
The Michael Malice and Angry Cops is on the 2nd, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
And we've got, I think for Gavin McInnes and Matan Evan, we have Pisco, the liberal lawyer, who'll be joining us. And if you guys know anything about Pisco and his last appearance, you are going to very much enjoy him versus Gavin McInnes. This is going to be very, very funny. I don't know what Matan's going to do. I imagine it'll be very funny as well. But this Saturday, DC, and then do you guys know if we have the after party set up, or is that set up? It's supposed to be like 100 people only, Timcast members. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Let's grab one more of these here. What do we got from these Super Chits? Ledlaw says, South Park bit. Trump refuses to release the Epstein files because there's a picture of Trump bald in them, and they try to find it, but then figure out that Trump's toupee is an alien that was controlling Epstein the whole time. I mean, honestly, that's better than what they did.
Not particularly funny, but it's way better than what they did.
It actually would be funny if the Epstein files has... It was like Epstein at a party that Trump was at, and Trump's fake hair fell off, and that's the only reason he doesn't want it released, and they find out. And then Trump complains that if people find out that his hair isn't real, it'll ruin his chances in the midterms. They could have made fun of him for any one of these things.
I know.
And
Try
said
to
they were
find
like
a picture of Trump in a T-shirt. You can't. You can't even visualize it, really.
I don't think
Get him in a
Trump's...
polo, though.
Polo a lot.
Do you think Trump has ever walked a mile?
Links.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Do you think Trump has ever walked a mile?
Probably not.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Golfing.
The golf carts.
I'd be willing to bet that Trump...
Continuous mile?
A continuous mile, straight.
It's probably harder.
Because people have debated this before because he's been wealthy his whole life. And so he probably walks out of a building in New York and gets right into a car.
Sure.
But of course he's walked a mile. I mean, how's it possible that he didn't?
Well, he has. It's just a question of when's the last time he did it.
Right.
Last 10 years?
No.
Miles straight.
Mm-hmm. Walking through New York,
he
maybe?
Stays at a svelte 220 pounds.
That's right, a svelte. All right, everybody, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. We're going to go to rumble.com/Timcast IRL for the uncensored call-in portion of the show. You don't want to miss it. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. James, you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, so we just launched our anti-DEI ETF, SPXM. It's available anywhere you buy stocks. As I mentioned earlier, Phil, it's a way to buy the S&P 500 minus the 38 companies, Nike, Starbucks, Airbnb, and Intel, that are doubling down on DEI hiring quotas that are stupid, but also hurt your portfolio. So we're proud to launch SPXM. And we sued the Fed today.
Oh, yeah?
That's cool.
Sued the Federal Reserve in federal court today. I just got on the way over here, I learned that we have a hearing first thing Monday morning. We sued them, Mary, because they are hiding behind this weird exemption that says they don't have to actually conduct their business in public. Every other federal agency, FTC, FCC, CFTC, is required to conduct official business with public observation. The Fed doesn't do that. They have a meeting next week. Phil, they've been, as President Trump has said, too late. They're refusing to lower rates from 20-year highs. So we sued them in federal court this morning. Azoria v. Powell is the lawsuit. And we're suing them to make clear that next week's meeting, to demand that next week's meeting happen in public view.
I have a question that I'll ask you after when we get to the uncensored part. So
sure.
All right. You guys can go subscribe to Pop Culture Crisis on YouTube and also Rumble. And we go live every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can follow the band on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. Don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
We will see you all over at rumble.com/TimcastIRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.